Hello, hello, chat. What's going on? How are we doing? How are we doing? What up, Insomnia? What up, Motolemur? What up, Cheesy Bread? What up, Trash? What up, King Henry? What's going on? Zyrim, how are you? Butterdog, what up, Butterdog? Aaron Swartz, Zeef, what's going on, everybody? How are you? How is it going tonight? How is it going? Welcome in, new follower, Pebbles. What's up? How are you? What the fuck is up, everybody? How are you? Tell me something I don't know, chat. I kind of had to push myself live today. Of course, the camera's not working. Of course, it's still not working. Great deception. Oh, boys. Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's going on, chat? How are you? How are you? Today I washed my dog. I got stuff ready for the trip this week. Yeah. You know, pretty boring day. Anyone seen Team Grand Canyon? What is that? What is that, Becca? Yeah, not much to report, to be honest. We got a big week coming up. I hope you guys join us for the gun training stream. I'm very excited about that. Still kind of putting shit together. If you know, you know. Okay. Shit. I don't know. I mean, shit, I don't know. So I don't know, you know? Anyway, yeah. We are gonna do some reacts tonight. I got a bunch on the docket. Bunch of good shit. And let's just jump into it. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. I kind of had to like push myself live today, which is okay. It's fine. I think it's good. I needed to go live. It's a good thing that I went live. But I was a little low energy. I'm not sure if I was really feeling it. Also, my internet is being weird, but like streaming is fine. You went late last night. I know. I have promoted your gun stream out. Thank you, Insomnia. Appreciate that. Great movie last night, wasn't it? Wasn't it a great movie? Are you going to be doing actual shooting? Hell yeah. Hell yeah, we are. Also, chat, I'm a good shot. I actually am a really good shot. Like I'm a good shot. So you guys will see my skills. Literally shooting a real gun easier than Valorant. Genuinely easier to shoot a real gun than Valorant. It is. It's harder to be good at Valorant. What up, Speed Racer? How are you, buddy? Riff it up. That's what I'm doing, bro. I'm riffing it up, dude. How are you? Anyway, let's get into the news. Turn off the music. Not much to report. Not much to talk about. We're gonna start with Zateo. Published an art video today about 300 days after Hindred Jobs murder. We have no justice, bro. Also, seriously, what the fuck? What the fuck? Tell that to the dude from Butler, PA, bro. I actually legitimately kind of low key like wanted to see if I could hit that shot. I just want to know. Everybody's always talking about like, you know, like, oh, it's an easy shot. It's literally a putt. It's so easy. Everybody is always saying that, and I'm like, yeah, but could you hit it? Can I hit it? I don't know. I have no. I mean, I've shot an AR-15 before, but I don't know at that distance. I think it might be a hard shot to make. With the pressure, your heart's thumping and pumping. I think that might be hard. I kind of want to try, but we are not going to be doing that. We are not going to be doing that on Tuesday. That is not what the stream is going to be. When is their press conference? Oh, fuck, we're muted. God damn it. That's because of, why is it muted? Oh, it's because of Chicken Run. Sorry, guys. I'm not, I mean, it just played the audio. Here, I'll go back to the beginning of this.
Cousins being her trapped in her vehicle. We heard her pleas to the Red Crescent Society.
I think that question is appropriately directed to the government of Israel. I will say on behalf of the United States, we have made clear to them that we want that incident to be investigated.
What up, Mr. Perry?
They are investigating.
It's also like, yeah, like, so when will the State of Israel be doing their press conference? When will the State of Israel be answering our questions? Because we're asking you. I'm asking you right now. How was Chicken Run? It was awesome. Great movie. Eastern time zone. I know. I feel you. I feel you. Hopefully next week you got Eastern time zone heads will get some love. But it's also like, I think it's just kind of hard to be the nighttime political streamer if you're east of California. Because like over here, his song goes off at like 7:30, 8 sometimes. You know what I mean? And my viewership doubles, if not triples, as soon as his song goes off. So like, it's kind of like, you know what I mean? Like I'm gonna have to go late, like either super late or just like not really give a fuck and just not really give a fuck about viewership. Obviously the content will still be the same, but I'll just have to like do it, you know, normal hours, or either that or just like start really late, which is probably not a good idea because my family likes to drink. So by 9 p.m. it might be kind of rough in my house.
Investigating it.
Any updates on Hind Rajab's, the investigation into the killing of Hind Rajab's family and the paramedics sent to save her?
I don't have an update. My understanding is that the investigation is ongoing.
How can this administration's approach of relegating things to months-long investigations while not changing policy, all as thousands more are killed, be a justified approach?
Investigations in some cases take time. You heard me a minute ago say we want them in every case to be conducted swiftly, but not at the expense of thoroughness.
Dude, these are such bad answers. Like, I don't think the Trump administration is going to do this shit. Like, they're just going to say the Israeli government is entirely justified in in everything that they do, including murdering this little girl. You know what I mean? Like, that's how this is going to change. The Trump administration is going to not really change the policy because, like, how much more support could you give Israel? But I think rhetorically on Israel, it's going to become a very different situation where anyone who stands against Israel is an anti-Semite and, like, you know, should be arrested and charged. People might be arrested and charged, press especially, you know. But even before that, they're just going to be like, you know, no, Israel's justified in doing everything that they do. They're awesome, actually. They're super based and cool. You know, that's going to be the Trump administration's response.
101 days now since Hind Rajab.
What a poodle from Germany. Let's go, dude. I want to go to Berlin. Maybe not now, but I've heard Berlin is amazing, and I would like to go. But they might clap me for my Twitter if I go there now. And for my Twitch page.
Family members, medics sent to save her were killed. So first question related to that is there an update on the investigation into that attack?
I don't have anyone. I'm happy to go back and get you the latest.
Is there an update?
Poodle, are you involved in any of the like protest movements out there? Like, what's it like to organize in Germany right now? I think from the West, our perspective is just like Germany is like the forefront of like suppression of speech regarding Israel. Like they're even worse than we are, and the U.S. is right behind you, very, very close. You know what I mean? But are you seeing any of that? Are you experiencing any of that? Do you have any friends that have like experienced that?
Into this investigation.
I'm French. Oh, okay.
Let me get you an answer on that and come back to you.
Is it really an independent investigation if the alleged culprits are the ones conducting the strike?
What I said is we thought it's appropriate for the government of Israel to investigate. What they have said is they went to these agencies and asked for information and it wasn't forthcoming.
Will you move to verify those claims?
It is not for us to do it.
I reached out to the Red Crescent, and they said that no, the Israeli government did not reach out. So, has the Biden-Harris administration followed up on this alleged lie about the Israeli government? Or
also, Prim Tucker is absolutely a fucking hero for this. Like, consistently following up on this story, asking the hard questions. Like, this is what heroism looks like. This guy is an absolute fucking icon, American treasure. Like, he is a hero. We need to be always defending and giving respect to Prim for this action alone. He has earned a decade of good faith. I don't care. He can publish a I left the left shit tomorrow, and I still got this motherfucker's back. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's the same way I think of Olayemi. Olayemi can have a bad take, and I don't care, because she has earned at least 5 years of good faith from me, and like, she's earned my allegiance. Like, I you know what I mean? I stand with her even when she's wrong.
sought to confirm any of Israel's claims on the half-year-old killing now of this girl and her family.
So
exactly, Fishy.
Our
Yeah.
partners in Israel's around the clock on a variety of issues. I don't have any specifics to read out as it relates to this conversation. I'm happy to check if there have been any additional updates, but to my understanding,
Poodle.
this investigation is still ongoing, and I will leave it to them to speak to the details of it.
It's now 197 days since Hindu Job was killed, her family members were killed, medics said they were killed. What's the update on that?
I don't have any updates for you.
How can Aishanor's family take an investigation seriously if it's conducted by the perpetrator, and, moreover, if they've continued delayed and reportedly lied to the U.S. about their investigation into Hindu Job?
Well, that is exactly why we have called and have continued to call for these processes to be as swift and as thorough as possible.
When can Americans expect a conclusion?
Any American can expect that this administration and this government will do everything we can to ascertain and gather whatever information is required.
How exactly is the U.S. approaching this if, on this case, 9 months later, Israel is now saying there's no investigation into this incident? And how can the U.S. keep unconditionally sending more weapons if this is how Israel is dealing with investigations of potential?
King with the purple nail polish. Am I in love? Oh my God, what a king.
Violation.
You should go to them for questions about what they may or may not be doing. And with this one, where they've said, and I know the Red Crescent has said something different, we're not in a position to ultimately adjudicate which bit of information is accurate and which is not. I can tell you what we are doing on behalf of the United States government, which is conducting our own assessments of a variety of incidents that raise questions about violations of international humanitarian law, and those assessments are ongoing.
Is this one of them?
I'm not going to speak to individual.
Also, like, I hope, I don't know, chat, is this cringe or not? I actually just like went through the whole thought in my head, and I was like, is that cringe or no? I guess we'll have to see. But like, what if trans solidarity movement is like a bunch of straight men painting their fingernails? You know what I mean? Just like small acts of like shirking the heteronormative like masculine stances and shit like that. But like as a symbol for trans solidarity under Trump, you know? Is it cringe? It could be. I guess it just depends on how it comes about, I guess.
Assessments. I've always made clear that's not something I'm going to do. The Israelis say that they reached out to the relevant NGOs for information. The NGOs failed to provide that. I can't speak on behalf of either the Israelis or the NGOs about what is true and what isn't, but that's what we've been told by the parties.
How can the U.S. be prepared to send more of the same rounds Israel reportedly used to kill Hindu Job if all these days later it can't get to some sort of conclusion on such a well-known case?
Well, again, I'm just with respect to the premise, I think there is an underlying factual dispute that I can't speak to.
But this dispute is
what's the dispute?
Is something that is of concern to the U.S. if it is giving weapons to a country for which it's
What up, Bersilium?
unclear what happened when they killed civilians. Is that not kind of the point?
So,
did you like this video?
Yes, I did, Mehdi. Okay, and then so these are just two of our updates in Gaza, just to remind ourselves and center ourselves. Remember, the Gaza genocide is still very much occurring. We've got updates from Bisan, which I'm very excited to watch. I love Bisan's videos.
For 20 years of my life, I've never missed a single olive season, a single harvest. But because of the genocide this year, I can't reach my father's land in the north of Gaza Strip in Beit Hanun town, where we have over 500 olive trees.
Wow.
So I can't join the harvest there, but rather, I'm not gonna miss it, because today we are joining the farmers in El Garare, Khan Yunis, in their harvest. Today we're gonna talk about the most popular symbol of the Palestinian lands and the Palestinian cause, the olive trees, the olives and the olive oil. Yalla, let's talk about it.
Spanning from October to November, the olive harvest in Palestine is a cherished community tradition.
الزيتون كل حاجة بيعني لنا هو اللي مثبتنا في الأرض تبعتنا الزيتون.
الزيتون مهم للناس بكل حاجة.
Yeah, Mohaf, that's kind of what I was thinking too.
في هناك ارتباط وثيق جدا ما بين المزارع وبين.
I have a hard time. I used to paint my fingernails. I have a hard time with it because I'm a fucking like habitual and obsessive nail biter. And it actually like gives me like a little bit of anxiety when my nails are painted and I can't bite them. It kind of drives me crazy. Like, it's a good thing. No, I do not eat the paint. I do not do that. But I know that's bad. I know that shit's toxic. I don't do that. But I just don't bite my fingernails, which is a good thing. But it's also like, it just makes me, I don't know. It's a good way to kick the nail biting habit, but why? Because of germs or something? I don't know. To me, it's like cleanliness. If nails are too long, it feels dirty. And so I want to be clean and keep my nails short by biting them.
زيتون.
Despite the inhumane conditions and the reality that we're living in, I think the most grounding thing that people can do right now is to pick olives.
Olive groves cover 920 square kilometers, nearly half of the arable land in the occupied Palestinian territories.
First step is to put the tarps or the nylon or the cloths under the tree.
I love this. I also like really love that Bassan is like making this kind of content, because so often I feel like Bassan's content is like only focused on the genocide, which is understandable because that is her entire life. Like, there is no life outside of the genocide for her right now. I get it. However, I feel like this kind of content is so beautiful, and it's so valuable to like just see Palestinians like living their lives and like see Palestinian culture thriving despite the horrible conditions that they're under.
The olives do not fall to the ground because every olive matters. Another thing you need to know is now it's a genocide. Now we don't have schools, we don't have work, so all these children, احكي مرحبا. So all these children and everyone around me are aslan do not have work, do not have schools. But in the normal days, children used to take a vacation, to not go to schools. People used to not go to work on the olive season.
أكتر إشي بنحبه إحنا في موسم الزيتون إن بنكون مع بعض ونتلم ونقعد نفرفش مع بعض وبنضحك.
بحب ألقط الزيتون في كل موسم لازم. في يوم حار لقطنا زيتون في كل أشجارنا. بدنا نجيب الزيتون ونلقطه ونعصره ونكبسه لإلنا عشان ناكله.
Here, there's been a genocide that has been going on for over a year. Agricultural land is specifically being attacked so that there's no food sovereignty for Palestinians. The Zionists are trying to stop the olive harvest. They're not, because we're picking the olives. This is a form of resistance, a form of identity.
The olive harvest is a very important season for Palestine.
I don't know if I even need to say it, but like, it is so poetically tragic that olives and olive branches and olive trees are both a symbol of peace and also like incredibly important to the Palestinian people. And like the symbolism of the olive tree and the way that Israel has treated the olive trees, whether it's settlers lighting them on fire and burning them in the West Bank, or the state of Israel in the, you know, in the 48 borders, like refusing to acknowledge olive trees and instead like raising a shitload of money to bring in like evergreens and other like European trees that are destroying the land there and causing landslides and like flooding in areas that never had flooding before. It's all very, 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 very poetic.
Not only from an economic wise, but also,
I mean, just like the idea of settlers burning olive trees, like it's all right there. It's all right there. Olive branches have forever symbolized peace and, you know, like symbolized, you know, cooperation, and now they're burning them. Like how much more on the nose can you be, really, you know?
a cultural and historical wise. Yani, when we're talking about Palestine, we're talking about
like if you wrote this in a book, you would think it's corny. You know? If you wrote it in a book, it would be corny. It would be too on the nose.
The poems, the songs, the food, the clothes, the embroidery and the thobe and everything, capturing the leaves or the olives. It is also connected to the whole civilizations that lived in Palestine before. So for me and for the world, Palestine means olives and olives mean Palestine.
والله بصراحة طبعا الموسم السنة والعام السابق يعني كان موسمين سيئين جدا اجولنا.
Gaza's olive harvest this year is estimated to be less than 20% of the usual yield.
العام السابق طبعا في بداية 10 كانت الحرب غزة وللأسف يعني ما تمكنا من قطف الزيتون، الموسم كله راح منا. برضو السنة الزيتون برضو كان مش كتير، طبعا ما تمكنا احنا خلال الفترة السابقة أيضا إن نصل أراضينا ونسقي الأشجار.
75% of Gaza's 1.3 million olive trees were destroyed because of the war.
لحظة الثمار ما تبقي من الثمار طبعا، وعندنا جزء كثير فقدنا نتيجة القضاء في المدفعية وغيره وقصف الأشجار واقتلاع الأشجار، وجينا اليوم طبعا خطرنا بأرواحنا وأرواح أطفالنا من أجل نحصد ما تبقى من هذه الثمار. كما ترون هناك بعد متبقيات القصف في أراضي الزيتون تم تكسير جزء كبير من أشجار الزيتون وإتلافها.
Most of Gaza's olive groves are situated in the east within a hazardous zone.
There is a Palestinian tradition called العونة والفزعة. العونة والفزعة means that the people who are harvesting or picking the olives now do not need to be from the same family. They can be neighbors, friends, anyone interested in the olive season can join.
Children also have their tasks in the harvest, especially when they are picking the inside of the tree because they're small. So they're picking bajawawi as we call as farmers. احكي لي مين بتساعد؟ أنت مين؟ شو بتقرب لهم؟
أنا بقرب لهم مش الجيران لبعض. وبنجد الزيتون هينا قاعدين وهذا هم ما طلبوش مني بس أنا جيت زي ساعدتهم. هذا الإشي بيصير كل سنة نساعد بعض.
It's work time. The family gave me this, the ladder, and this branch to pick. ويلا. Let's start. The family told me that it's picking or gathering, not جدادة. What does it mean that? Picking is using either this, like this, or my hands to pick the olives. But جدادة means using a stick to harvest. That means it will harm the branches and it will harm the harvest for the next year. So yeah, they told me don't use a stick. We're watching you. You can use this.
The stick is just like
my
bashing the leaves and stuff, right?
Harvest is this. I pick this. My grandmother, Allah yarhamha, used to call these jarjir. These are the olives that fall by themselves. They are dry and we can eat them to open the harvest. So yeah, it's a good sign. When it comes to olives, Palestinians do not waste anything because olives themselves are either going to be pickled or to be sold in the markets for anyone who want to buy olives, or going to the olive pressing. And after extracting all the olive oil, even the seeds of the olives are going to be pressed. And after having the oil, the smashed seeds and the remains are used to put on fire.
Only 7 of Gaza's 37 olive presses remain, operating with limited resources.
قدرنا بإمكانياتنا المتواضعة جدا إنه نعيد تشغيل المعصرة، بس للأسف الشديد في تحديات كبيرة جدا في الموسم. بداية السولار مش متوفر، طبعا شغلنا كله بيعتمد على الكهرباء. صار السولار هالوقت اللتر السولار ب 55 في السوق السوداء، وفوق هذا كمان يعني طبعا المعصرة بتحتاج قطع غيار وتصليح وحتى على المزارع. فتخيل يعني احنا مثلا لانه بصير عندنا تجمع، فممكن لا قدر الله يصير استهداف لاي شخص اللي بيجي في طريقه وهو جاي. المواصلات صعبة جدا، بدنا نعيش يعني في الاخير يعني حياة ومعتمدة الناس على بعضها، والحمد لله رب العالمين.
الإقبال قليل جدا على المعاصر، وأيضا التكلفة عالية جدا. يعني تطلع الصفيحة على المزارع تكلفتها في حدود 350 شيكل بدون سماد وبدون ري.
The places that used to be crowded are empty. The amounts of olives are so little. The machines are not working. The oil used to be out from here, ready, after the whole pressing. I used to put my bread here to take some fresh oil to try it. And that be the first oil of the whole season. But now the place is stopped.
What I've learned is the patience that it took the olive to grow the olives is an offering to the Palestinian people to be patient with each other so that we can continue this long journey. It's a long-term commitment until we can pick olives during olive harvest without bombs, without genocide, without occupation in the land that has always belonged to the Palestinian people.
After all, I feel so relieved. I feel that I am connected to my land. I am in Gaza. I am in Palestine after all the conditions we've been through. I know that the harvest this year is nothing in compared with other harvests in other years. I know that a lot of people are killed. I know that we are risking our lives right now to reach this land because it is in the east of Khan Yunis. But what I know better than all of these is that I feel that I am in my land. I feel that I am the same farmer who is displaced from the north of Gaza Strip and helping the farmers here until I am back, until I can go back to my trees.
Inshallah. Like, it's so sad that we are living through a Nakba right now, and like, you know, Bassan might never be able to go back. Like, truly, they're annexing the northern Gaza Strip, you know. Her family's land is being annexed and settled by the Israeli government right now. She, you know, there's no intention that has ever been communicated that her family will be able to go back to that land, ever.
Yes.
Great video. We love Bassan's videos. She's so great. She's so awesome.
Hey, did you see the news?
We got a new Eric from Internet Comment Etiquette about the election. Hell yeah. This is going to be sick. I'll be right back. This is going to be funny, though. Honestly, the rest of the night,
Party is
everything is pretty chill. We're not doing a lot of hard news for the rest of the night. I just wanted to start on that. Also, Chad, I found another YouTuber bailing random people out of jail. This guy's only got 650 subscribers. Okay, so he's smaller, but he's doing this. He's doing the good work. So if you were here for that the other night, we got a little bit of that to go through tomorrow.
is down right now, and that only means one thing to us. It's time to kick them. Although I don't know, it kind of looks like they're all busy kicking each other. Nancy Pelosi says Biden should have gotten out of race sooner.
Had the president gotten out sooner, there may have been other candidates in the race. The anticipation was that if the president were to step aside, that there would be an open primary.
That's one bitter old woman. I've never seen any positive post or comment about Nancy Pelosi. She seems to be one of the most disliked politicians in the world.
And because the president endorsed Kamala Harris immediately, that really made it almost impossible to have a primary at that time.
The Democrats are eating themselves.
It's worth noting that in the fall of 2022, when typically if there was going to be a primary process and one that would have taken shape, Pelosi was arguing this publicly.
You think President Biden should run again?
Yes, I do.
There you go. Even CNN is getting some kicks in. That means it's open season. I'm surprised Nancy Pelosi didn't know beforehand who was going to win the election, considering her amazing ability to predict the stock market. When I think of Democrats, I think of young, scrappy dreamers who fight against discrimination. And I'd say their greatest victory has been against the discrimination of geriatrics, because they have this 84-year-old millionaire swinging a gavel around like it's her alcoholic husband's limp dick. And kick her. Yeah, we're kicking him. We're not being nice to them. Holy shit, Trump got reelected, huh?
Bro, how did he record all of these? These are so good. He had to sit down and record like a fuckload. He recorded a fuckload of predictions on like cultural things that would happen over the next year and a half.
Oh yeah, he won big time. Who could have predicted
Like he did. He recorded all of this.
that? Oh, like just over half the country. Hey, who'd you vote for? We don't vote. Wait, what? Oh, what's this? Oh, man.
Yo, LA resident? Oh, okay. Okay, LA resident. Okay, I see you.
Was I supposed to mail this in? All right, welcome to the show. Now, the Democratic Party is a lot more than just old women. There's old men, too. Going to be a period of learning. Schumer acknowledges errors made by Dems during election.
Did you miss us? Yes.
No. Nobody ever missed you, Chuck Schumer.
No. Honest answer, no.
No.
I want to thank Senator Murray and Reid for joining me.
Wow, this is boring. And skip.
And I'll first address the election. Many across the country, of course, are disappointed, sad, even angry right now. Now, I understand those feelings.
Dog, that's my senator. Bro, are you excited to vote for AOC?
It never feels good to come up short. But when you do, you pick yourself up, you dust yourself off, you learn from it, and that's exactly what we intend to do. This is going to be a period of learning for our caucus.
Yeah, whatever. We all know who this guy is. Let's get to the kicks. Schumer still wants to learn at the age of 550 years. Maybe it's time to give it a rest. Democrats in learning who would not be used in the same swanton.
Oh my God.
Now Democrats in errors? Yes.
Oh my God, bro. Holy shit. With the U.S. Marine Corps thing, bro. I'm sorry to tell you, I think you might have that disease that's like being nearby a bunch of, you know what I mean? Like if you're nearby explosions and like mortar charges going off, it gives you like micro brain damage. That if you do it over and over again, it's like CTE.
Go home, you crypt keepers. Learn by resigning. Been around way too long. Go retire, old man. Cheese is such a liar. You cheese need to go to jail. What came up short, shit ass? Oh, easy guys. Save some kicks for me. Chuck Schumer, more like cuck boomer, lol. But no, seriously, why does this guy always look like he just found a nest full of bird eggs to swallow whole? All hunched over with that mashed potato smile. If a chiropractor ever adjusted him, it would sound like the Battle of Gettysburg, which Chuck Schumer was alive for. When this guy talks about a two-state solution, what he really means is he's solved how to make his body both solid and liquid at the same time. I've seen a lot of wild conspiracy theories that Chuck Schumer is an Illuminati space vampire who wants to put us all in breeding camps to harvest adrenochrome from our babies. But I think that's all bullshit because adrenochrome is supposed to make you young forever, and he looks like he's taking the opposite of that.
Okay, Chuck Schumer is getting old as fuck. Also, though, like, Chuck Schumer probably in the top 20% in terms, like, just politically, he's probably in like the top 20% of most based, like, Democratic legislatures, you know?
Grandpa. All right, now I know it feels like
he's not great. He's not good on most things, but he could be a lot worse.
I'm rushing through this here, but like normally we're just kicking one person at a time. Now I got to kick like 70 million people, or depending on who you ask, 90 million because 20 million of the votes disappeared. Elon Musk's Starlink stealing votes? An election conspiracy explained.
Oh my God.
Conspiracy theory is making
Wait, Straight Arrow News. You mean this is the same group that Jubilee goes to for their fact checking? That's so cool. Wow, I'm sure that this report we're about to watch is going to be very truthful.
waves on social media alleging that Elon Musk used his satellite internet company Starlink to rig the 2024 U.S. presidential election.
There needs to be a recount of every single ballot before we are thrown to the wolves. Yes, need to know the truth how Trump win. That many people hated Trump, and many voted for Kamala. The energy and polls sure didn't match the outcome. We kindly request a recount of the people's votes.
The theory suggests that Starlink, which was developed by Musk's SpaceX to provide high-speed internet worldwide, was somehow connected to voting machines and manipulated vote counts.
Bro, people... Do people just not really know how the internet works? I don't get, like...
There's no...
Do they think that, like, just being connected to the internet just makes you, you know, like, they can change everything on your computer? You're on the internet right now. Like, if you thought this was true, why are you on here?
We could have won all swing states. Totally agree. They went too far in these hack jobs. Why the hell isn't it getting...
Also, this is Blue and On. We actually hadn't really covered this because I think it's like it's ridiculous, but this is just Blue and On. These are Democrats who are coping to unbelievable levels. They're overdosing on copium. Okay, copium is a very strong drug. Okay, do not ever engage in the use of copium.
Investigate! Hey, they'd screw with the vote. Starlink notifies each location. Musk said himself that all it would take to rig a machine is one line of code. Recount, and recount ASAP.
It's true. I was subbed before, but because of Starlink, I'm unsubbed. Oh my God. Well, you're so lucky that for only $5.99 or for free with the Twitch Prime, you can sub again. And it's so important that you do, chat, because do you know why? Because I need to get 70-30. And I'm not going to lie, it's going to be kind of hard. I'm going to try my best, but it's going to be kind of hard to stream from Kansas City. And I'm at 250. So, chat, if we get 10 tier 3 subs tonight, we will literally nail it for November. Okay? We can nail it for November. Have fun with your 2000 repeat. Honestly, fuck the left. You people need to understand you shouldn't dismiss this kind of shit. You're joking, right? Violence? You're joking. No, you really think that the election, like, votes were changed? Like, Starlink changed votes? I'll take you seriously. I want you to make your case. I actually do want to make your case. You're a chat. I've seen you in a bunch of chats. You're a normal person. I'll listen to you. I'll listen to you. I know. I'll approach you in good faith. Make the case. Make the case. I genuinely think this stuff is ridiculous. But I will admit, I don't know the infrastructure of the voting systems in various states. I don't know that shit. You think that Elon changed votes? Like, now here's the thing. I do think Elon changed votes. I do think that Elon changed votes, but I don't think it was like this. I think it was like via like he had the ability to change shit that ran over his network. Can you expand on that? Like, how? Do you not think how? Like, they're keeping a hard count in many locations. They're keeping the data locally, and then that's going to be cross-checked against any digitally transferred data. You know what I mean? I think Elon did change votes, but through his ownership of Twitter. Not through, like, his influencing of Twitter and the way that he's changed the dynamic of that website. That actually did change the way that, like, probably millions of people actually voted. But I don't think it was this. And they did not count the client-side data? Wait, but also it's like, fuck the left. You people need to understand you shouldn't dismiss this kind of shit. Like, what do you... Huh? Like, we all... Like... the left understands that it's all rigged. Do you know what have you been watching the stream? Like, we say on the left, we're here saying no matter which side wins, you as a worker are gonna be fucked. You know what I mean? No, he's not. He's a normal chatter. That's why I'm taking it seriously. I'll believe it if I see evidence. Yeah, true. I mean, I would, but I'm further left than anyone in this chat. Okay. Okay, I don't know what that means.
Darling.
Violence, I like you. You're welcome here. I don't know where you're coming from with this. And I'm like I said, if you got sources or like want to make the case, I'm genuinely all ears, buddy. I want to hear it.
Voted for Trump.
Okay, hang on. What if this is true?
According to the Associated Press, voting machines are generally not connected to the internet. The AP says a few jurisdictions do transmit unofficial election results through private networks, but this only happens after ballots have been counted and memory cards containing vote tallies have been removed from the machines.
Well, fuck it then. Thank you for recommending Sarah Janine Davis on one of your videos.
Yeah, did you hear that?
Fuck it then.
Containing vote. But this only happens after ballots have been counted and memory cards containing vote tallies have been removed from the machines.
Yeah.
So they are keeping a hard copy of the voting results in each location. And then that data is transferred somewhere else. So if that data somewhere else didn't match the data that they had in hard copy, you know, that would be a different thing.
Well, fuck it then. Thank you for recommending Sarah Janine Davis on one of your videos. I reached out to her and investing with her has been amazing.
Getting Sarah Janine Davis to help me really helped me clear all my debts. I started with what I have left and it's been the best decision I ever made. I've watched YouTube videos regarding Sarah Janine Davis and I have to say that her trades are very amazing.
These are bots, right?
Suppose I will try her. Planning my retirement, and a friend suggested I invested in stocks and...
Also, the like white woman avatar, Thai or Cambodian name, Cambodian language name, and then perfect English. That's an awesome combo. That's a really good combo.
Recommended Sarah Janine Davis. I started with $42,000 7 months down.
Yeah, an expat, right? That learned Cambodian. Yeah, probably.
Line, and it's the best financial decision I've made all my life.
I'll never believe that this outcome was not rigged somehow. To me, the fact that Trump has been fairly quiet about it speaks volumes to his guilt. Recount. All right, well, listen, I'm a guy who likes to kick when someone's down. But I don't like to punch down on people who are kicking themselves, if that makes sense. So that's why I'm going to go into this comment section and try to lift everyone's spirits with a little bit of good and proper internet comment etiquette. I think now is a great time to reflect on how you felt about the other party when they had this same exact reaction 4 years ago. Did you call them crazy? Did you wonder how anyone could possibly believe such nonsense? Well, wonder no more, because you're there now. And that's okay, it happens. Nobody is immune to propaganda. You need to remember that political propaganda is all about making anyone who disagrees with you appear evil. You don't want to talk to evil people, you want to knock them down and kick them. And of course,
Yeah, I voted in person for the primary, and even if you vote electronically, it prints your ballot, and that's what you submit. It's all recorded on paper, and you can double check before handing it in. I mean, to me, it's not only that, it's like, never once have I said that electoralism or like voting for the right person is our path to liberation. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I don't know why we even think this is a big deal. Like, my entire stream basically revolves around us doing something other than voting in order to enact change. So why would I pay a lot of attention to this shit? Like, I genuinely don't care. And voting is not, like, votes being changed, even if they are, that is not the biggest, like, problem restricting working class power in this country. Like, we will never be able to vote our way to liberation, you know?
evil people would steal an election. Why wouldn't they? Meanwhile, your party would never steal an election.
Is there a kitty update? Are they happy at their new place? Yeah. She's really happy. We get videos every day. Her tail, the last video that came in, the tail was longer. And I said, oh my goodness, she's growing up. I could tell from the video, her tail got a little longer.
Election if given the chance, right? Now listen, if after all that you still believe the 2024 election was stolen, I have the perfect person to advise you on how to storm the Capitol. Her name is Sarah Janine Davis, and she'll help you invest your money in all kinds of offensive measures, from assault rifles to ballistic shields. Stop that steal with Sarah Janine Davis, the #1 insurrection expert. She helped me storm my local PTA meeting after they voted against teaching the Bible and sex ed. I don't even have a kid in that school, but thanks to Sarah Janine Davis, I walked in there looking like the Punisher, and you can bet they listened to me after that. There we go, we got him back up just to kick him. And you know what? I'd be kicking myself right now if I didn't have a new episode of Mama's
Okay, I would watch normally Ethical Reacts, but his ads are like literally 5 minutes long.
Next time. All I know is that we're kicking the Democratic Party while they're down. Although, real quick, I want to take a look at like the ripple effects of such a large concentration of people being down. MSNBC ratings plummet. Chris Wallace quits CNN. Oh, that makes sense. Nobody wants to watch the news just to be reminded how down they are. And play.
So we got a few interesting media shakeout post-election updates for you. Let's put this up on the screen. So apparently MSNBC, which did very well on
Wait, I love this take from internet etiquette. Liberals be like, Elon Musk stole the election with Starlink, and their reaction is to go to brunch and raise the white flag. Yeah.
election night and eclipse CNN for the first time ever.
I mean, this is what I was saying in 2020 too. Whenever like everybody on the right was saying that, you know, the Democrats stole the election. Like, my response was always like, yep, I voted 15 times and my dog voted 30. And if you really cared and you wanted Trump to be elected, you would have fought that hard too. Like El Bozo, cheat harder, losers, you know?
Now they have lost half of their viewers compared to this time last year. She had 54% of their viewers. I believe CNN also completely plummeted.
Wait, hang on. My 9/11 sensors are going off right around this part of the video.
Tell me, psychologically, it just feels very different.
Oh,
Last
yeah.
time.
Sagar's got to be one of the worst. He has the worst takes of all time. This guy sucks.
It was a shock. Trump was a shock. If you're too
People
young
could not imagine
to
it.
remember, I will never forget. The next morning, came to work. It was the death. It was like 9/11. Like, I was too young to remember what it was like to be an adult, but that's what I could imagine.
Yeah, found you.
The last thing, just as mentioned, which is kind of funny, Chris Wallace is apparently leaving CNN. We can put this up on the screen.
He seems annoying. Wait until you hear his takes on marijuana. Wait until you read his. Just go ahead and search his Twitter for weed or marijuana or anything like that because he is actually insane about it.
What?
Sagar Intijit? I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Intiji? Injeti. That's the best I can guess. This guy hates weed. If he even smells weed a little bit, he's fucking murdering somebody. I promise you. Do not invite this guy to the weed party.
To remember, I will never forget.
It makes me think Crystal must be freaky too if she gets along with him. I don't know. I kind of reserve my... I understand what you're saying, Becca, and I kind of feel the same way. I kind of do feel the same way, but I feel like I reserve my judgment on Crystal because I've never heard her have a bad take. I've never heard her have a bad take. So what am I going to judge her on my imagination? You know, like, no, I think everything I've heard from her has been pretty fucking based. So, you know, we move on.
The next morning, came to work. It was the death. It was like 9/11. Like I was too young to remember what it was like to be an adult, but that's what I could imagine.
Yeah, found you.
The last thing, just as mentioned, which is kind of funny, Chris Wallace is apparently leaving CNN. We can put this up on the screen. Wasn't there, what was he there, 4 years?
Yeah.
3 years?
Oh, are they going to start kicking Chris Wallace?
First of all, his show was awful on CNN.
The
It
only
had very
reason
low ratings.
anyone watches almost any of these people is just because it's like it's on in the background.
Yeah, right, Boiled? Drop your favorite in here and we'll look at it.
Whoa, goddamn.
Your father was famous. I'm sure it hurts not to be as good as your dad. It's okay. You know, you're an old man. You've had enough time to reconcile.
Yo, did Chris Wallace fuck this guy's wife?
Just ride off into the sunset, all right? Leave it to us. We'll continue to fight here.
All right, well, I hope Chris Wallace doesn't watch this video, because he's really going to hate these comments. Chris Wallace was useless. Chris who? I'm sure it hurts not to be as good as your dad is crazy, LOL. Dying to tune into the Chris Wallace pod, cry laugh emojis. People that watch Chris Wallace don't even know how to turn on their computer. Wallace is a joke, no one will stream him. Chris Wallace should join Dan Rather and talk about old times. Bye, Chris Wallace, you're fired. Chris Wallace needs to choose a new career.
Was that true, Avril?
Always irrelevant.
I know, like, one of the groups in Boston, like, ordered Pizza Hut the night before or some shit like that. So they had, like, Pizza Hut in their bellies when they did that shit, which is crazy.
See, that was amazing.
I like this one. Victory. Eat shit, weed freaks. Oh, my God, dude. He's such a weirdo. He is so weird about this, dude. He's so weird about it.
Podcast number. I love Chris Wallace, by the way. All right, there we go. That last one's for you, Chris. And this one is not. Chris Wallace chugs so much cock, I hear his tombstone's gonna be a glory hole. Maybe talent just skips a generation and Chris has a kid who can do proper investigative journalism. Nope, I just Googled it. His son works for Blackstone. That's not gonna help anybody out. Hey,
That's kind of sick, though. Imagine you have, like, you know those people who get, like, a coliseum at a cemetery? Like, they have, like, a big room for their casket. What if you had a room that was, like, you know, for fucking at the cemetery? Yeah, mausoleum. Yeah. What if you had what if your mausoleum was like, this mausoleum is for fucking?
Speaking of not helping anybody out, I'm happy to see liberal media down so I can give it a solid kick. These people profit off of Republican presidencies more than most fracking companies. It's nice to see them getting rejected. And for the record, this YouTube channel is also liberal media. They just have even less viewers. So everyone's getting kicked here. Not me, though. I wrote in Bernie Sanders as a protest vote. Yeah, I was protesting Democrats comparing everything to 9/11. It's gotta stop. You know what was like 9/11? 9/11, when the government remote detonated the World Trade Center after hitting it with airplanes full of fake...
Whoa, brother, you can't say that. Holy, bro. You can't get into that. We don't talk about that.
Mannequins piloted by CIA-trained Saudi Arabians. Also, it didn't happen. Those buildings are still there and you can see them if you're unvaccinated. If you absolutely
had to make a comparison, the Trump win is more like Pearl Harbor because the libs didn't see it coming and it ended with Josh Hartnett.
No, only the 2024 election thing. No 9/11 community note from YouTube.
Happened yet. And kick them. But nobody can kick the Democratic Party when they're down better than the Republican Party. And I guess this time around they're kicking him by appointing Matt Gaetz as Attorney General. Lefties losing at Donald Trump's top 5 cabinet selections.
And now it's time for a special edition of Lefties Losing It.
Oh man, even the Australians
I was going to say, what the fuck is that accent? She's Australian?
Kicking the Democratic Party while they're down. This is none of your fucking business.
Number 4, we have possibly the selection that has had the biggest reaction, the biggest freak out from the left, and that's Matt.
Bro, her giddiness about the freak out from the left. The biggest freak out from the left.
Gaetz as Attorney General. Here is some of his finest work.
Like, why is it that the women with the least likelihood of getting pregnant are the ones most worried about having abortions? Nobody wants to impregnate you if you look like a thumb.
No, I didn't know he did stand up.
Is it safe to say that based off of your comments, you're suggesting that these women at these abortion rallies are ugly and overweight?
Yes.
What do you say to people who think that those comments are offensive?
Be offended.
Oh, yes, we're going to enjoy the next few years.
No, you're not. No, you're not. You're Australian, A. B. Matt Gaetz he resigned from Congress and in shame at risk of an ethics report that accuses him of pedophilia, you know? So he's not going to be that at all. He's not going to be a part of the administration. He's not going to be in public. Like, he's just gone. He's just gone. Who is this YouTuber? It's Comment Etiquette. Internet Comment Etiquette. Here, I'll drop a link right here. Go subscribe.
What the FBI and Department of Justice did in trying to frame and defame Gaetz personally with nonsense allegations.
Whoa, it's Matt Gaetz, my favorite Minecraft YouTuber. This guy's all about Minecraft YouTubing. He even pays extra for it and drives across state lines to YouTube about Minecraft. He used to share a server with a guy named Joel Greenberg, and let's just say they were playing with creative mode on. That is until Greenberg was sentenced to 11 years in prison for some stuff, leaving Gaetz to go caving on his own. I know a lot of people look down on Minecraft YouTubers, but Matt Gaetz has a great support system, including his brother-in-law, Lucky Palmer, who is more of a Call of Duty guy, developing AI weapon technology for the US military. Maybe someday I can see
I can't tell what in this is true or not. I cannot tell.
One of these autonomous murder drones in person when it blows me up for talking about how Matt Gaetz is being blackmailed with the very same pictures and videos of young Minecraft villagers that he was walking around Congress proudly showing.
That's true about Palmer. What about Joel Greenberg? Is this true?
Off to his colleagues. I just hope the Attorney General can't touch age of consent laws or else I'm going to make my daughter go fucking trans. And tick. Now, there is an etiquette lesson in all of this that I think is important, and that is when you're kicking someone while they're down, don't overdo it. You got to kick them just the right amount. That is to say, don't be this guy. Let's Take Pleasure in the Pain of Democrats by Andrew Clavon.
There was an interesting article in the San Francisco Chronicle this week that you might have missed if you were doing something more important than reading the San Francisco Chronicle, like squeezing that pimple between your
Gaetz said he's not rejoining the Congress.
Down the front of your face, and you spent the rest of the morning taking pictures of yourself smeared in gore with your tongue sticking out.
What the fuck is this guy yapping about?
Sideways and sending the selfies to all your friends with a message saying, look, I'm in the new sequel to Night of the Living Dead, laughter emoji.
Okay, he's one of those creative types, huh?
Now look, I know Democrats are genuinely suffering after Donald Trump particularized their every hope and dream of destroying our freedoms. And I don't like to take pleasure in the emotional pain of others unless the emotional pain of others tastes like caramel swirl ice cream melted into a sugary liquid and then...
What is Ana de Armas doing on here? What is this? What does this have to do with what we're talking about? Just put a picture of a beautiful woman on your, just to increase engagement or something?
Board over the naked body of Ana de Armas.
Yo, where's this going?
So that she and it can be drunk down whole like a shot of tequila in a Tijuana bar, knocked back in a single gulp.
Where is this going?
Bro, you gotta put the pin down, man. What the fuck are you writing, dude?
In the morning, after being poured over the naked body of Ana de Armas.
Yeah, you already said that.
Tenderly sit your son down in the crinkling folds of his crinoline party gown and gently say, Brenda, my darling boy, I know we'd been planning to celebrate your 8th birthday by cutting off your so you could pretend to be a girl.
All right now he's just kicking made-up people.
Then if Brenda starts to cry, you can just tenderly smack him a good one and say, man up, girly boy, you're in Trump's America now.
All right, well, that's how not to kick people when they're down. That was strange. Your so-called humor doesn't always hit the mark. Listen to more Ricky Gervais. It could be more true or any funnier. I agree. It could be more of both of those things. Let me demonstrate in the comments below. That's not how you kick the Democratic Party while they're down, Andrew, you busted-ass bargain bin Scott Adams. First of all, Democrats know they're pussies who can't handle conflict. It's part of their identity. You can't really zing them on that. It's much better to bring up how their political identity is a facade that erodes with age until the progressive idealism of their youth looks like an island in the distance. If you tell a 20-year-old Bernie bro that by the time his future kids are ready for college, he'll have warmed up to deporting illegals, you're just loading a big fat told you so in the chamber for later. I do believe the youth will always veer to the left, and all it takes is one good kick to see the world as it is. And speaking of veering to the left, what the fuck is going on with your nose, dude? Did it get...
This is also a good question though too, like, because do young people veer to the left? Or I mean, I think it is okay. Here's what I'm saying. It is true that young people are more leftist. However, Trump is kind of bucking that. Although I think it has more to do with the actual like left-right dynamics of this political dynamic, and more to do with Trump being like an anti-establishment vote, and Kamala like really running as the establishment safe pick. You know what I mean? But also, it's like I haven't really read a lot of data about like, do people's ideas change as they get older, or does the society change around them, and do they kind of keep those same ideas that were left when they were young, and then they grow up and those just become kind of centrists? And you know what I mean? Does the society change when people grow up, or does the left, or does the youth change? I think it's probably a little bit of both. I think it'd be really hard to study that. Actually, I think that would be hard to study.
Hit by a car, Andrew?
Most young people are socially left, but not economically. So I think it's the latter. Really? I mean, I don't know if I would make that assertion either. I understand what you're saying, like that more like young people are more socially accepting and progressive. However, I mean, young people don't have like they're not. Why would they be like tied to capitalism? I don't know. I think if anything, that data probably is more representative of like America's overall larger dynamics with regards to economics. Like you just don't, if you're an American, you don't get exposed to anti-capitalist ideas. Yeah, I know. I'm doing something real quick, but I'll turn it back on. But you just don't get exposed to anti-capitalist ideas. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not common. It's just not popular. People don't talk about that shit ever. You know what I mean?
Like Mike from Breaking Bad got AIDS.
Yeah, that's what I'm pointing to too, Avril, is like the American like hyper-capitalist like propaganda is really, 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 really deep. And also like a lot of it comes in school. You know, like anti-communism comes in school very, very, very easily. So I think it's like I don't know. I don't know if it's I don't know if it really works like that.
Respect your stance on
This is not deep, true.
Transgender issues, by the way. Obviously, you're an expert on gender identity, considering you published the novel in 1983 under the pseudonym Margaret Tracy. I imagine being a female novel...
I mean, listen, dude, when you're young, what the fuck? Your takes on politics are bullshit anyway. Like, what the fuck do your takes on politics mean when you're young? You have never had money. You don't have money now. You know what I mean? Like, Like, you haven't had to pay rent. You know, you don't understand what it's like to not have money and need it. You know what I mean?
This made you feel free, like something deep within you is finally given a voice. I love that for you, bro. Meanwhile, the Democratic Party has no idea who they are and have never found their...
My material conditions changed for the better getting older, and I did have to wake myself back up to continue hating capitalism when I was like 25, 26. I would have gone full neolib centrist otherwise. Ooh, interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think for a lot of people, there's like also this something that contributes to that idea that like when you get money, you become more fiscally conservative. I think what contributes to that idea is America's like fake like meritocracy. The idea of American meritocracy is like incredibly insidious in this, because people get the good job, they start making a lot of money, and then they're like, oh, well, I got this because of a hard work and like I did everything right. And so everybody else that's poor has to do is do what I did, you know? And like, they don't understand that, like, while that may be true, some people do get rich on hard work. Like, this is true. Some people do. But that doesn't, like, your experience is not the entire that's not the reality of everyone's experience. That's what I think is more important. You know what I mean? Is that like for the vast majority of people, they will work harder than you every day of their lives, and they will never achieve the same level of success. You know what I mean? Yeah. Also, Bill's right too. Like a lot of people, a lot of middle class wealth is like debt focused, whether it's car loans or house loans. Like a lot of people are way in the hole. Way in the hole. You know?
Their voice. It changes every few years to coincide with whatever.
I feel like working for long enough destroys the myth of meritocracy, but it's never you. The thing is with Americans is that I feel like they don't make it structural. They can acknowledge that some people who don't deserve it do make it there, but that is anecdotal, and their story is the structure. Do you know what I mean? Like their success is entirely based on their hard work, and like, you know, they were not impacted by structure in any way. But I mean, it's really just that, like, you can't. Yeah, they don't see anything structurally at all. They don't. And if you try to get them to, you know how it fucking, like, you know how that looks. You know how that works. Like it's the DEI or the critical race theory. Like there's been so much concerted effort to eliminate any structural critique from like popular society over the last like 7-8 years, even longer. Even I would say that even like Occupy wasn't a structural critique. Occupy was never really about capitalism. Now, were there some socialists and communists at Occupy that were trying to push that message? Yes. And like that's where I was first exposed to those ideas. For sure. But I would never say that they were like the majority in the movement, or that was like a big part of the rhetoric that was adopted by the movement. Like I think in general, it was like, we need reforms that address wealth inequality, but keep capitalism, you know? Yeah, I mean, I was paying a fuckload of attention. I was there every day. So I'm telling you from experience. There were some, but the majority were cranks. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Like, for real. A lot of people that were at Occupy were also at January 6th. I mean, Tim Pool. Perfect example. Perfect example.
Their octogenarian leaders.
I mean, but a lot of people went to Occupy and got radicalized, like me, you know? I'm an example of that. So it is what, like people, it was just a moment of like mass like awakening or people were getting involved in politics in a new way. Occupy definitely led to like the Bernie campaign in 2016. It had a huge influence on everything. It was a moment that American protests developed from. Are you a Marxist? What do you think? Yeah. Yeah. I think I was radicalized even more to the left from Occupy. Me too. Yeah, I'm gonna say yeah. No, I was also. I got tapped in with a bunch of like really good leftists who, I stuck with from Occupy. Like I got a really, really good group of like activists in Chicago that I stuck with for the next like 6-7 years until I moved away. But that was with the ISO, the International Socialist Organization, which is a whole different ball game, and like they no longer exist. It was just kind of a bad deal. But they were good while they existed. I got a lot out of them. I really liked them.
Leadership thinks they can use to motivate their depressed, polyamorous, pothead voter base to get off their fat fucking asses and vote. And then after every Democratic victory, those
Bill. I mean, everybody shit on Occupy, but also like the criticisms of Occupy. I felt it was new to me at the time, so I was very like shocked and alarmed by it. But as somebody who's been a part of every mass political movement that's happened in America over the last decade and a half or whatever, like they use the same rhetoric every time. They say the same thing every time. You know what I mean? They always say the same thing every time. So it feels, the first time you go through it, I think it feels defeating. But after that, I think you're just like, oh, okay. Well, they said that about us during Occupy, or like they said that about us during Black Lives Matter, or like all of this, like like this isn't specific to our politics. They're not talking about us. Like they're not, genuinely. We could pull up any fucking news, like local news report, or your national news is even worse. Pull up any report from those people and watch it, and like those people aren't talking about the movement that we were a part of. Nothing they're saying has anything to do with what we were doing. They couldn't be further removed from that shit, It's just the truth. Have you ever been arrested? Yeah, I got arrested in Chicago at Occupy. But that was the only time. I'll never make that mistake again. Performative arrest is so out, dude. Do not get arrested just to be, arrested. Fuck that shit. What, were there no bushes there? No, we actually just like sat there and like, they told us they were going to arrest us. It's like a 45-minute, whole thing. And I was just like, yep, I'm getting arrested. And I was 18. I ain't doing that again.
Go phew and immediately hibernate until the next election cycle. They don't understand how to convert voters, and conversion is key. Andrew, you should know, considering you're the only Jew on the planet who converted to Christianity. If you're trying to pick the side that's killed more Arabs, you should have waited. But this isn't about picking sides. America's
it is scary.
Million weather vanes on.
I mean, also like they were punishing us because this was the second consecutive weekend that we tried to take Grant Park. Because if you don't know, Occupy Chicago, most Occupies had a park that they were occupying. Chicago didn't. Chicago, for some reason, Occupy Chicago started in the financial district. So essentially, no, every city had an Occupy. Havana. It depends on how big it was and stuff, but almost every single city had an Occupy. But Chicago's Occupy was unique because it was like in the middle of the city. It was on like a corner, like a three-way stop. Actually, you know what I can use to tell you exactly where it was? Is this. Hold on. I don't know why my internet's being slow. Okay, so Occupy Chicago happened right here. At this intersection. At the intersection that's this building and over here. Yes, literally. Literally. I this is exactly where it was. And so this is like the middle of the financial district in Chicago. And so you have like this building is the Federal Reserve. This building is like the Commerce something, you know, like or another. And then this building is like I think Bank of America. And so that's where we were doing the occupation, and we couldn't have tents. Like it was just like a 24/7 protest. That's what it was. But it was really big. We would have thousands of people come to this place. We would, you know, it was a mass movement that Chicago really did participate and like put forward a meaningful thing from. And me being there like all the fucking time, I met an incredible network of activists in Chicago, you know. And so yeah, it was it was cool, but yeah, looking back on it, it was very like it had almost no ideology outside of like the work. It was like a really weirdly pure expression of just like working class frustration, and like it was like the first time that like I feel like America as a protest movement was like, we are getting beaten to the ground and we can't do anything about it, and like our lives fucking suck and the rich are getting so fucking rich. You know what I mean? Gotham has always been Chicago. It's bullshit that they film it anywhere else, to be honest. Gotham is canonically Chicago, in my opinion. You think we'll have another Occupy or BLM this presidency? I feel like we need a big unified movement, but I don't know what it'll be. I do, yeah. I definitely do. I also like I would add the student intifada into that list if we're charting like mass movements across the United States. The student encampments that was actually something that I felt like was like the highest development of civil disobedience that I had seen in America to that point. The way those students like operated, and the knowledge and like the discipline that they operated with was something to fucking behold. It was so insanely cool. Like I was so inspired. Yeah, really good, really good. But it also, to me, it felt like, oh, well, like we're moving towards something. Like actually, like we're getting better at this, and not only that, but we're learning from this. You know, like we are taking lessons and learning from this, hopefully, so that next time, this shit can be different. You know, we can like we can fight back better. And I felt like that's what brought us and got us to the encampment movement. Was like people from Occupy, people from the Black Lives Matter movement, you know, like people were there sharing lessons, and even behind the scenes sharing lessons. It also doesn't hurt that like SJP as an organization has been organizing for decades. Students for Justice in Palestine, like one of the main orgs that you know was like the leaders of the encampment movement. I was the vice president of that in 2012. Like that org has been a national org organizing students for, you know, a very long time. And so like they brought a lot of that shit. I discovered David Graeber's work through Occupy. Yeah, David Graeber fucking rules. David Graeber was he's like genuinely one of the founders. Like the people, if you can ascribe any one person to the Occupy movement as like a, you know, somebody who really influenced it, like David Graeber would be definitely up there. You know what I mean? Also, can I just say, what the fuck is happening on the Hasanabi stream right now? What the fuck is going on over there?
on the same roof, all pointed in different directions. And unfortunately for the Democrats, they were all
no, stop. No.
Loser, LOL. See, that's how you get those pussies. Fuck you, Democrats. Watch how quick Chinese ass
BRB, holy shit.
live action version of Fantasia starring Joe Rogan as Mickey Mouse. That's when you'll know you truly lost.
We need a finger pinch emoji. You can just type. It's a normal emoji. It's like it's an emoji. It's an emoji. Yeah. Butterdog got it.
Only thing Andrew here has lost is his fucking mind with that whole Ana de Armas thing. What the hell were you talking about, man? You gotta cut stuff like that out of the video next time. Unless, of course, you were saying that as Margaret Tracy, in which case I have to respect it, and that was very brave of you. And kick just fucking everybody. All right, well, I've kicked all I can kick, and I can't kick no more. So now it's your turn to get some kicks in before the Democrats get back up in 2 years to stumble around and tell you, no,
yeah,
we don't
true.
want to do that, before immediately going back down again. All right, good night. Buy a shirt. Hey, did you hear about Matt Gaetz? Oh, whoa. Hey, look, I've been layering this with metaphor as to not get in trouble, which Matt Gaetz is.
Oh, definitely, Timmy.
You know what I mean? Hey, fuck the.
Wait, did they pass that though, Timmy? Did they pass that? I thought it was like still up for a vote. Or is it up for a vote in the Senate?
17-year-old. That's what happens.
Hey! Money sell me a city. Big money sell me a city.
Apparently, Ana de Armas is dating the Cuban president's son now. That's crazy. Yes, it will be. It will be. Wait, I actually want to kind of learn about that right now.
Authoritarianism is not born overnight. It creeps in. It erodes our freedoms. A tyrant tightens his grip, not just by seizing power.
It deems terrorists supporting, yep.
But when he demands new powers and those who can stop him willingly cede and bend to his will.
That was Democratic Congressman Lloyd Doggett speaking out against a bill passed by the House that would give the Trump administration broad powers to kill nonprofit organizations. The legislation, called the Stop Terror Financing and Tax Penalties on American Hostages Act, allows the Treasury Department to target and investigate organizations that they deem terrorist supporting without needing to provide the evidence behind that designation. Now, it is already a federal criminal offense for nonprofits or anyone else in this country to support terrorist groups. So a bill like this could be at best unnecessary and at worst devastating for rights groups. This week, a group of over 300 organizations sent congressional leaders a letter that read, quote, "The executive branch could use this authority to target its political opponents and stifle dissent." Joining me now is someone working to stop this bill from moving forward, Kia Hamadan.
Also, I just want to say, if you're donating to the ACLU strictly because of the tax benefits, like, go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? Like, if you're really donating, if whether or not these companies have like tax exemption like status is really affecting your donation to them, you know what? Like, figure it out. I don't know what to tell you.
Senior political.
I hope we never stop donating to organizations like this. Like, we need to continue funding them, even if they're deemed terrorist supporting.
Our senior policy counsel at the ACLU's National Political
Is that all that it would do, or would it make it illegal to donate to them?
Division. Keith, great to have you on the show. There was a previous bill with this nonprofit provision that was initially introduced last November. It was touted by its Republican supporters as a way to crack down on pro-Palestinian supporters that they claimed were exploiting tax laws. But as the ACLU and other organizations note in the letter to Congress this week, the potential for abuse under this law is broad. How are you working to prevent this bill from advancing, and explain to us why you think it can be dangerously used?
Yeah, so as an initial matter, I mean, it provides the Treasury Secretary with a lot of unilateral discretion to strip nonprofits of their tax exempt status without any kind of necessarily having to show the evidence, and within an appeals process that's straight to the Treasury Secretary, and that doesn't. You can strip someone's nonprofit before you ever go before a neutral decision maker. And we worked really hard as much as we could to try to make sure that we whipped up as much opposition in the House, and a number of House members shifted their vote even from last week.
Like, this is an objectively bad thing. You know what I mean? Like, this is definitely just one other way. I mean, we looked at Project Esther. We covered it very extensively on this channel. The project, Project 2025's founders, the Heritage Foundation, also published Project Esther, which is their plan to deal with pro-Palestinian activism and anti-Zionist activism. And they laid it all out very clearly that they're just going to designate all this. They said this, basically. They're going to designate a bunch of different organizations as terrorist supporting entities and, use that to, like, basically just go after them in full.
Week. And it's critical to keep that opposition to block things in the Senate.
The nonprofits are usually cash-strapped. Their tax exemption status is critical for their work. And according to this, they would be, if they are accused of wrongdoing, they would have 90 days, I believe, to prove that they aren't supporting terrorist organizations. If they cannot, their tax exemption status would be stripped. Would organizations, these nonprofit organizations, even have the means
90 days to prove a negative
to fend off these legal battles?
I mean, that's definitely a concern, right? There's the stigma of being designated a terror supporting organization. So it's not just the crippling legal fees, but it's the reputational loss and the financial that comes with all of that. And, the 90 days is not a real, they call it a cure process. It's not a real cure process. You don't necessarily have all the evidence they used against you. They won't give you exculpatory evidence necessarily. And it's entirely at the judgment of the Secretary of Treasury. And then there's an appeals process after the fact. But at that point, the damage is already done.
We've seen this playbook around the world, and we've seen the devastating impact that laws like this have created. Nicaragua, for example, you had a similar bill, didn't only impact free speech, it also limited the ability of aid workers to operate in that country. Over the past year, we've also seen Israel's terrorist accusations against UNRWA, leading several nations to temporarily pause their funding and impacting lives on the ground in the Gaza Strip. These kind of accusations, they really impact people who are already extremely vulnerable.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely true. And it's also true that this is common way that the accusing of terrorisms we've seen around the world can often be used for political reasons in terms of silencing dissent, silencing critics, trying to silence civil society. And I think
no, literally, like, every time I've ever been at a protest, like, there are headlines, there are people on Twitter who accuse me of supporting Hamas, accuse me of supporting terrorism. This has been a smear thrown at anyone who dares to critique Israel ever since, like, forever and ever and ever. From the beginning.
Concern is that this bill became law. You could see the same thing here.
Is there, when you look at like other groups, climate justice groups, environmentalist groups, they could be targeted if their policy or if their objectives of what they're working for do not align with the policy of the incoming administration. You have 19 states significantly enhancing penalties for protesters challenging pipelines and other, quote, critical infrastructure. If this bill were to pass, would there be any protection left for dissent and activists, not just simply the organizations?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that, of course, we would, if this bill became law, we would do everything to fight it and make sure that the Constitution and everything is upheld. But I think one of the things you saw is there was a really broad-based coalition against this bill, whether it was environmental groups or whether it was labor, whether it was reproductive right groups, because all these groups could be under threat in a Trump administration, and that's why you saw just such a broad opposition to trying everything we can to prevent this bill from becoming law.
All right. Best of luck to you. I mean, obviously, it doesn't have a chance in this administration, but certainly if Trump, I mean, once he does get into office, it could be a high priority issue for him and other Republicans. So we certainly appreciate your vigilance on it.
Yeah, that's pretty terrible. Also, Democrats voted for this. Like, I mean, let's be real, guys. Like, there's nobody coming to save us. With regards to that stuff, it's only going to get worse and worse. The Democrats are going to be the people that are championing it. And they're going to pat themselves on the back for bipartisanship. Guys, AOC just voted for a messaging bill that encouraged other countries to adopt the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism. Like, AOC voted for a bill that encouraged other countries to also suppress any anti-Zionist actions that their citizens might do. If we can't count on AOC to do it, there is no government that we can count on. Did she ever say why she did that? No, but her fucking chief of staff cannot shut the absolute fuck up. Cannot shut the fuck up on Twitter about it. And is just lying. Just genuinely misrepresenting the bill. Like, and cannot shut the fuck up.
The Tesla side.
All right. We have two videos on Elon Musk I wanted to watch.
Cybertruck. This roughly 6,500-pound stainless steel missile that was conceived when Elon Musk fucked a dishwasher has become a cultural lightning rod. Conservatives love it, libs hate it, but good God, is it great for content.
The Tesla Cybertruck. Cybertruck.
Oh, here it is. Here it is.
Do I have a lot of thoughts? Already a disaster.
Pete in. Let's go. Let's go Pete in.
You got to admit that's a fun thing to drive.
Yeah, it's definitely faster than it needs to be. We're going to shoot the Cybertruck, so we're going to open fire on the Cybertruck.
That looks hilarious.
Today, I investigate the hubbub encircling this big baby. Is there more to this angular whip than simply being
damn it, I fucked it up.
Who are too big of pussies to join the military? Let's find out.
It's so ugly. It's also so big. Like, these are all over LA and they're so fucking hideous, bro. They're so ugly. I hate them.
Elon Musk first unveiled the concept Cybertruck back in 2019 at a Matrix cosplay event for lonely single men who know what Y Combinator is. It was here that he asked one of his fake steampunk executive assistants to demonstrate.
No, I see them at least once a day. Genuinely once a day. In LA, for sure.
The vehicle's indestructibility.
Franz, could you try to break this glass, please?
Sure?
Yeah. Oh my fucking God.
Bro, that guy held back too. That's what's so funny about this horrible idea of like a promo, which is just perfectly meme worthy, is that guy didn't even throw it hard. Like, look at him.
Sure? Yeah. Oh my fucking God. Well, maybe that was a little too hard.
Elon, however, has never been one to let public embarrassment dissuade him from risking further public embarrassment. So he persisted. In true Tesla fashion, there were years of development, long production delays, and major recalls, including when the rear view camera, which is the only way to see out of the back of the car, potentially didn't work in 27,000 vehicles. But after
you can't see out of the car without the rear view camera? How is that legal? How is that legal?
After all that, late last year, the first Tesla Cybertruck started bumbling through our streets, leaving many onlookers with the same question: why?
The glib answer is that Elon Musk thought it would be cool. I don't really see a really strong marketing or strategic reason for the Cybertruck.
I think the point of the Cybertruck is that Elon Musk wanted to make it. It's difficult to look at it and come up with a clear business case for building that vehicle.
It's a good question.
If only I could see inside Elon's mind, I would have the right answer.
These here fellas have all done a lot of reporting on electric vehicles, and together we would form an absolutely dominant high school Model UN team. When I asked them to make the case for this roughly $100,000 19-foot-long death-shaped wheelie boat, they all gave me variations of around the same answer. Ya boy wanted to do something crazy.
Tesla is a company that has sort of prided itself on not doing things the same way as other car makers.
It's not really a working truck. It's not very practical for a tradesperson. This is for somebody who lives in the suburbs, makes quite a lot of money. I mean, you could argue it's, sort of a halo vehicle, one of those vehicles that not that many people buy, but that attracts people to the brand. Maybe you could say that it makes Tesla look like the cutting edge car company that's doing things nobody else does. But I really think it's just something that Elon Musk thought would be cool.
The thing is,
does it do all of those things though? Does it do all those things? I understand the concept of like a Halo video or a Halo car. I think it would be like a Ford GT or like the Dodge Charger or not Charger, the Cobra, or what's Chevy's? Not really the Corvette, because the Corvette's like maybe the Corvette. I guess the Corvette. Yeah, like every car manufacturer does have the car that they like that is under their brand that is really cool, but like you never really see. It's just like a very rare, and most people don't buy it, right? Lizzie, what is your deal, bro? Bro, why are like long-term chatters coming in here and like just shooting, just like making mad weird generalizations about the rest of the chat in here tonight? People I've seen in chat for a while. You're the second one just coming in and being like, all right, I'm fucking committing social suicide here. Did we even talk about Abrahamic? When did we talk about a religion tonight? We didn't. You're just talking about your own shit, bro. Take your meds, chatter. Take your meds. It'll be okay. Don't bring whatever you just read on Twitter or on our atheism over here into this chat. This is a different tab. We're doing our own shit, okay?
Despite its apparent lack of traditional strategy, the Cybertruck is really starting to do numbers for Tesla and its loud flesh mascot.
He was correct in building a toy for the fanboys who love him because there's a lot of them, and they've come out to buy it.
In July, roughly the same number of people bought a Cybertruck as all other electric pickups combined, and it was the third best-selling electric...
Was that even a topic in here? No. We literally haven't talked about religion all night long.
Vehicle overall in Q3. And for all the regulars out there, Q3 is business speak for quarter 3. Sometimes experts like me like to use the fiscal calendar instead of the normal human calendar. Just a little thing we do in the industry. No reason to get nervous. Tesla says the recent success of the Cybertruck has made the vehicle profitable. It's also helped Tesla reverse a 2-quarter sales decline. But just like when I win slam dunk contests, context is important here. Those dunk contests are conducted on a 7-foot rim against my cousins who are in elementary school, and I have drugged them. While the Cybertruck was the third best selling over...
Yeah. Good work. They're amazing. They're hilarious. I think they're very, very good channel. Here, let me drop the link in the chat for you guys. If you don't subscribe, please subscribe.
Overall EV model in Q3, it was still tens of thousands of units away from the top-selling models, Tesla's Model 3 and Model Y, which have dominated the market for years. Some experts think that the time Tesla spent building Elon's dream truck was a waste of an opportunity to develop a new, cheaper model that would appeal more to the general public to firm up Tesla's lead in the increasingly competitive domestic EV industry, and to compete with the much cheaper...
Tesla also makes IUDs. How have I never heard that joke? Is this like a normal joke that people make? Because that's fucking hilarious.
Increasingly competitive domestic EV industry, and to compete with the much cheaper EVs being produced internationally, especially by China's BYD. Plus, lots of Cybertrucks.
I will never ever be able to unsee that.
Been fulfilling years of pre-orders. It remains to be seen how many new customers Tesla will be able to capture. Now, all that yammering aside, these moderately positive sales numbers do beg the question: is the Cybertruck maybe actually a good car.
When we first saw this thing debut, if you look at the response from seasoned car journalists and analysts, it's impossible to build a truck that looks like this, that passes all of safety regulations, that is manufacturable. So for him to actually do it, I think is impressive.
After David here posted a somewhat positive review of the Cybertruck to his car culture website, The Autopian, he faced a wave of backlash like he'd never before experienced in his career.
I actually kind of like the Cybertruck. The biggest sin that there is in the car world is boringness, and the Cybertruck does not commit that sin. My review basically stated that it's a compromised truck, and despite that, it's still cool, which seemed like a really lukewarm take, to be honest. I got it from all sides.
It's so ugly, it cancels out. I want to say that too, but you know what I keep thinking and stopping myself from saying? Is that I think like the Scion is a horrendously ugly car. And people buy that. You know what I mean? That's what it's called, right? The box one? Yeah, dude. I think these cars are so fucking ugly. I think they're really, really, really ugly. I hate them. Yeah, and exactly. And look, there are people in chat. Some people like them. So maybe cars are just one of those things where like there's gonna be ugly cars and you just gotta like whatever, different strokes for different folks. You know what I mean? I think they're really ugly. I think they're really stupid looking. They're not only ugly, like they actually look stupid.
You know, people who hate Elon and think that I'm supporting him by saying the truck is cool. People who...
And I do think that about the Cybertruck too. I think that about the Cybertruck as well. So that's why I'm like, I don't know. Some people like him, I guess.
Love Elon, who are, I mean, you really can't say anything negative about him or any product, or they will jump down your... That whole...
Sure thing, Daddy-O. But at this point, I had enough of all the jibber-jabber. It was time for me to get my hands on this polarizing puppy dog, take it out on the road, and see what all the fuss was about. And here we have it, the Cybertruck in the flesh. Now, folks,
nice. Did he rent one?
Truly a massive vehicle. It's incredibly shiny. If you want to see me pop the frunk, you want to watch me pop the frunk?
God, dude. Also, the typography of the logo is so... This is so unbelievably cringe. Like, I can't tell you how bad taste this is. It makes me so bad. It makes me angry.
All of this extra space to bury your enemies. As I embarked on my cyber trip, I had to admit that while
I've never driven a Tesla. Ever.
There were some obvious flaws. I truthfully cannot overstate how sharp the front of this vehicle is. There's just a layer of sharp around everything. So I cannot see anything that's immediately in front of my nose. This car is ideal for hitting a small child in this area. There is a...
I mean, the car would probably literally slam on the brakes before you, right? Like the car would stop you, right? If it saw a small child, it's not gonna let you drive over a kid, right? No, really? Even like new Fords have like rear end technology that will literally hit the brakes for you if you're about to rear end somebody. That exists.
The rear view mirror rendered completely useless by the little back hatch that I have. So instead, I have my tiny little strip of a screen here. I also found parts of the Cybertruck experience to be pretty nifty. Right now I haven't been flipped off. The feel of driving this car does not match how it looks.
It does, but it's not perfect. Well, yeah, it's supposed to. I mean, I don't need it to be perfect. It's just supposed to be a failsafe. You know? And even I mean, better than nothing, obviously.
At all. I feel like I'm driving a pretty
Better than a human driving. That's the metric you need to drive. So you need to judge self-driving cars on. By the way, if you judge self-driving cars on is it perfect, then I think you're like being a Luddite. The metric we need to use is it better than humans? And humans are ass at driving. Humans are so fucking bad at driving. No, you should with self-driving cars, the metric is it better than humans? Is it better than humans? And if it's better than humans, then we should be using it as much as possible because again, humans are ass at driving. Humans are so bad at driving.
Swift SUV. So how have you felt as a passenger?
I will say it's very easy to get distracted inside this car.
There are many things to distract you. I mean, they have their own built-in karaoke system. In fact, the goofy joys of the Cybertruck felt much more like playing with a geeky, expensive toy than flying the flag of the techno-conservative right wing. From where I was sitting, it seemed like most people didn't care about the Cybertruck and all of its baggage.
I mean, yes, Ghosty, but the truth is that that's never going to be a like that's good. I agree with you for urban areas, but you have to understand that like a very, very, very significant portion, especially in America, live in rural areas where everything is like 20 miles from each other. And like a personal car is you kind of need it, you know? Yeah, it's not going to work everywhere. I do agree, although you're 100% right. We need better public transit. We need better interstate transit. Like that shit has to happen yesterday. You know what I mean? And then cars are not going away.
Original McCrispy, one deluxe McCrispy. I'm driving a Cybertruck, just letting you know. Okay. They mostly just thought the thing was kind of cool or weird.
Oh shit, I like it though. This Cybertruck is amazing.
Are you a fan?
Yes.
You don't judge me for this?
No.
Really?
Dude, also I can't every time I see a Cybertruck, I think I kind of like I want to flip it off, but then I realize that is exactly why that person's driving it. And they're sitting inside that car, like obsessing over how everybody is viewing them. Like they're just like, oh, that person's looking at my Cybertruck. Like, oh, they think they must be a lib. Like they are going through so many different scenarios in their own head that I don't even want to give them the satisfaction of acknowledging their existence. Do you know what I mean? You ever think about that? Like that person is obsessed with how everyone around them thinks.
Amazing car.
When you see this, what comes to mind?
Yeah, of course I judge. I mean, this is me. Listen to me judging. Listen to me giving my judgment on the people who drive Cybertrucks. Because I'm judging you hard. But I don't want to let them know. I want to let them know. I want them to feel like they didn't get any satisfaction out of me. You know?
Speed and fast. Yes. Well, hell yeah. Thank you. Hi. How are you?
Oh my god, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good.
As you should be.
What do you think of the car?
No, it's cool. It's different. It doesn't look like every other pickup truck.
If you see somebody driving a Cybertruck, what do you assume about them? If anything.
Nothing.
Money?
Well, every time I see a cop, I usually give them the bird. So I'm pretty well versed with flipping off people on the road who have both anger issues and firearms, guaranteed.
There may be nothing quite like the Cybertruck that distills the online bubble factor better. When I would open up threads, all the stuff that it would feed me was people out there just mocking the Cybertruck, that tribe. You know, if you live in that very online sphere, it would be impossible to imagine anyone buying this vehicle. And then you go out into the world, and guess what? Either like Musk fanboys or I think a decent contingent of just not very online people are buying them.
But I have...
What? Why would people who aren't online buy them? I definitely think it's like 90% Musk fanboys. Wait, who are the people that aren't Musk fanboys that are buying a Cybertruck? Maybe like early Tesla investors? I guess it's probably like a lot of early Tesla investors who just made like a fuckload of money on Tesla.
I had to wonder, are there really people out there who own a Cybertruck and aren't plugged into all of the Elon brouhaha? Well, when I put a call out to see if any Cybertruck owners wanted to talk to me for this episode, one of my only responses came from a man who told me that
one of the reasons I was intrigued by this is like, I just don't get it. I just don't understand the controversy at all.
True.
I think the first couple weeks I would get a lot of looks and people would like slow down, take pictures.
I was like, I don't get it, and so I'm gonna spend $130,000 to really understand it. That's always what I do. When I don't understand something, I always spend $130,000 on that thing.
That died off pretty quickly.
Tony here has owned Teslas before, and he more or less fits the classic Tesla guy profile. He lives in LA, he used to own a successful tech company, and he wears black baseball hats indoors. But he doesn't see driving the Cybertruck as anything more than whipping a funky sauce wagon.
To me, it's just a car. It's a car that I like. I'm grateful to be able to buy it and own it, and I'm not making any statements of any kind. I just think it's cool and it's fun to drive.
So what's the point of the Cybertruck? Well, for different people, it means different things. For some, the Cybertruck is a representation of what Elon Musk has become, a Republican dweeb god who diarrheas cash into the mouths of rural Pennsylvanians. For others, the Cybertruck is an embodiment of Elon's genius and his ability to revolutionize stale industries. But it's also clear to me that for lots of people who maybe aren't addicted to yelling at each other in very specific corners of the internet, the Cybertruck means something different than I anticipated. It's just a type of car. And it doesn't mean much more than that. For good work, I'm Dan Toomey.
What are you gonna get from McDonald's?
I've been eyeing the Kai Cenat meal.
Fuck you, bro.
Do you know what the Kai Cenat meal is?
No. Are you just like YouTuber solidarity? That's why you want to get the Kai
No,
Cenat meal?
no.
Are you jealous?
No.
Bro, I'm jealous. Motherfucker had SZA and Nardwar on the same night. How the fuck are you not jealous of Kai? Like, what are you kidding me? That guy's living everyone's dream. That guy's literally living the dream, bro. I would love to meet Nardwar and SZA.
Hey gang, this episode is brought to you by Means TV, the world's first.
Kai had Nardwar on, yes. And I'm gonna wait, we're gonna watch it. I don't think when Nardwar releases the video, we will watch it, because I love Nardwar. I've been a huge Nardwar fan for a long time.
Anti-capitalist streaming service. Stick around after the episode to learn a bit more.
And Lizzo, yeah, you're right.
A nice little discount as a thank you for supporting my channel.
Elon Musk.
Heckler posing as a free speech warrior.
We have to protect
Be right back.
geniuses. We don't have that many of them.
Huh. Yeah, Elon's kind of a weird little guy, isn't he? If you only kinda kept tabs on him a decade ago, you knew he had this reputation as a Silicon Valley internet super genius. A slightly awkward guy who was focusing on decent things like solar panels, electric cars, and online banking. Not great vibes, sure, but on the whole, harmless.
You're a super villain.
Over the last few years, though, a lot of people have noticed that he's morphed into what looks like a whole new guy. A guy who tweets over 60 times a day, but wants us to believe he's well-adjusted and that being the CEO of 3 companies is hard. A red-pilled, incel, alt-right, men's rights advocate weirdo, somehow running one of the internet's 3 websites, aggressively boosting racist conspiracy theories, and maybe even getting tapped for a high-level government job.
And Elon, because he's not very busy, has agreed to head that task force.
And that shift has got a lot of people confused.
Is anyone else wondering what happened here?
It's highly unusual.
I find it really off-putting.
Completely different from anything.
Yo, Calm Like a Tom, thank you so much for the gifted. Appreciate you. How are you? All hail the human serviette.
We've seen
true.
I could have never
Elon Musk is the true human serviette, though. Calm Like a Tom, what the hell?
Yes,
20 gifted, let's fucking go. Thank you, Calm Like a Tom. Holy shit. Holy shit.
predicted this political
Going crazy. Also, I gotta add a 20 gifted alert because 20, for some reason, the number 20 gifted just breaks my alert and puts them all in as individually, and it only loops only those two. You got to see this quote from Elon's dad. Elon's dad said Elon Musk is fulfilling his destiny as a white South African by embracing Nazism. Wait, what? When did he say that? I think for the first time Elon was accepting who he is, says Errol now. Until recently, he's been a sort of character on a stage. When you come from South Africa, lefties think you're a Nazi. To succeed, you need to be accepted by them. So my sons, Elon and younger brother Kimball, a hugely successful restaurateur, started to become these flaming liberals. Flaming? Wait, when was this published? That's crazy. Why is my internet being so weird today? Started to become these flaming liberals, turning away from South Africa and their roots, which included me. Finally, Elon was embracing his heritage and his destiny. My son Elon called me pure evil when he was a raging liberal. Dude, he's just calling his son gay. Flaming, raging, like these are only words you use to describe gay people. Like these are adjectives that you very specifically use. Yeah, a raging flamer. Just call him gay. Now he's Trump's first buddy. Wow. Aw, that's so sweet. Elon has embraced fascism, and now him and his dad are talking again. That's so sweet. Unfortunately, he sacrificed his daughter.
I actually never got to the bottom of that, and I don't think anyone has.
And it's not hard to see why, right? Over the years, Musk has pitched himself as everything from a progressive on climate policy to an independent, politically moderate humanitarian to a centrist who believes an anti-civilizational woke mind virus is a real thing, and most recently, as one of the most prominent bankrollers of the far right. But if this is confusing for some people, for others there's a simple explanation behind Musk's hard right turn. It's the insane amount of time he spends on Twitter, or the pandemic, or his daughter's transition, or a pro-LGBT law in California, or that time everyone found out he assaulted a flight attendant, or how he just keeps getting divorced.
Okay, I'm sorry, I have to distract you real quick, but does anybody have the link to this? I think I retweeted it. Let me pull it up. Here. Chat, Tectone is still not banned. And that's fucking gross and insane. Oops, wrong. That link is bad. That's not the right link. This is the link. This is the link. Report him again. I don't care. Report him again. This is so fucking disgusting. And also, like, since I posted this, like, it's got, 2,000 likes and shit. I'm getting the most insane fucking people in my replies. Listen to this. When she's an OnlyFans person who literally shows their body naked to make money, then she should be aware of people making lewd comments about her. She's just playing victim when she knows damn well what she's doing, showing people her body. Okay. No, she doesn't. Like, literally, no, she doesn't. Denim's OnlyFans is literally cosplay only. Also, everybody who, just so you know, if you're a hater in here right now, this is what you can expect, okay? Reply hidden, your account blocked. I don't need you in my life ever. Like, you will never, ever be somebody that I'm ever looking to for anything. And it's also, like, you can tell, too. Like, these people never have more than 100 people following them, ever. Usually less than 30. You know what I mean? 45. Like, these people don't even have friends in real life. even if my social media was only real life, I would have more than 40 people following me. 34. You know what I mean? Like, these people are just like they have nobody. They have nobody in their lives. Yeah, don't go into his chat, please. Like, come on, don't ever watch this fucking guy ever. Don't go to his chat. Don't fuck with him. Just report that. Just report that shit. This kind of content, like this is Twitch's sexual harassment policy. Okay, we prohibit unwanted comments, including comments made using emojis/emotes regarding someone's appearance or body, sexual requests or advances, sexual objectification, and negative statements or attacks related to a person's perceived sexual behaviors or activities, regardless of their gender. Okay, this is very fucking clear. This is incredibly clear. There is no reason that he is not banned right now. It's actually fucking insane, and every day I'm getting more and more angry. Like, Twitch, you need to do something about this right now. Right now. All right, anyway, sorry. Back to this. I just made the mistake of checking my replies.
First, and then loner posting. If you start searching through the last few years of headlines, there's about a dozen theories trying to explain how Musk suddenly became this guy.
What did he do? A woman came. Both of his previous exes, his ex-wife and his ex-girlfriend, have accused him of abuse. His ex-girlfriend, the more recent one from last week, accused him of like basically, rape and sexual assault. And he then like 2 days after that happened, Denims covered it on her stream. And so Tectone went live and said, "Oh, I don't even watch Denims," and said like just really disgusting shit. You can find it if you want, but he said incredibly disgusting shit about Denims that is textbook sexual harassment. Textbook sexual harassment.
But I think they might all be wrong. I actually don't think there was a radicalization moment for Musk. No, I think everything coming out of his mouth today is a direct result of an ideology he embraced well over 20 years ago. In fact, if we rewind a few decades, we might actually get a concrete explanation for what's behind all of Silicon Valley following Musk into crypto-fascist land. We need to talk about Silicon Valley's politics.
Yeah. This is going to be a good video, actually. Because to talk about Silicon Valley's politics, you have to talk about San Francisco politics. You have to talk about California politics. And they learned what they're doing nationally in San Francisco.
I would say the key thing to understand when you think about the politics of Silicon Valley is that it really wants to position technology as being the way that you solve problems in the world, right?
We spoke with Paris Marx, the host of the podcast Tech Won't Save Us.
That's a really cool pen name.
And here he's talking about a political ideology called cyber-libertarianism, a, quote, bizarre mishmash of hippie anarchism and economic liberalism beefed up with lots of technological determinism. It's the defining credo of Silicon Valley, to the point where...
Oh yeah, Denims is a morning streamer. Does really good politics. Definitely go follow Denims. I assume everybody's already following her because she's way bigger than me, but...
For a while, it was known mostly under the name of the Californian ideology. People who subscribe to this idea, mostly tech bros, insist that stuff like AI and the internet can do basically anything and offer us, quote, endless opportunities for achieving wealth, power, and sensual pleasure. And therefore, anything that stands in the way of that simply must be removed. And
oh yeah, Lord, you'll fit in well over there. You'll like it.
A lot of the problems that we face are inherently political problems, but that means that the government needs to get involved to do something about it. And the CEOs and the executives in Silicon Valley certainly don't want that to happen, right? And so they want you to believe that the way that we solve problems is by tech companies rolling out new technologies made through the free market, right? Because that works for their interests and, for them to maintain their power in society.
But to really understand what cyber-libertarianism is and explain how it got us from a Silicon Valley with a progressive reputation to a rabidly reactionary stronghold of wealth and influence, we should look past the academic definitions to where this all began, in California, with hippies and Reagan. On May 15, 1969, then-Governor Ronald Reagan sicked the National Guard on hippie protesters occupying a park at UC Berkeley.
Yeah, Maltese. Such a good movie.
People were hospitalized and one man died. On one side of the massacre, you had the champion of neoliberalism, free markets, and the American empire. And on the other side, you had hippies preaching.
Bro, also,
social
JT is getting, like, better. And he was already really good. Okay? JT's videos were already very good, very high quality, and he's just getting better. It's fucking sick.
Justice and an end to the war. Events like these are part of the mythology of the 60s. Two camps.
Is JT a tanky? What does that word mean, man? What does that word even mean?
Reconcilably opposed class.
Can you define it for me? And then I won't be able to. I want to know, am I a tanky? I don't know.
Crashing in an explosion of violence. But just on the other side of the bay, in Menlo Park, these two forces preaching absolute market freedom on one side and anti-government progressivism on the other were actually coming together thanks to a magazine. Printed out of offices in Menlo Park, the Whole Earth Catalog was a magazine.
He likes tanks.
People like Norbert Wiener, Marshall McLuhan.
Like that game. What's the game that all the YouTubers try to get you to play? World of Tanks. Yeah. World of Tanks. I'm a huge World of Tanks player, so.
Minster Fuller.
I'm a tanky. You can call me a tanky, you know what I mean?
Techno-optimist who believed that a new society could be founded on the back of new computer technology. They thought technology had a built-in ability to make people communicate horizontally, and would therefore make tyrannical power basically impossible. And the catalog was the central node spreading this ideological current. It didn't really sell anything. It was mostly just articles about self-sufficiency and ecology next to book recommendations and buying guides for the best 40-pound calculator. But
nice.
That wasn't the point.
$5,000 calculator? Give me one, please. Hello? Where do I sign up?
Catalog was
I'm going to the bank to get a loan right now.
It served as a sort of bridge. A bridge between the engineers settling in California and bringing their love of new technology, and the hippies at the forefront of the rhetorical struggle against government tyranny. And during the 60s, this magazine really resonated with this heterogeneous crowd slowly forming around Silicon Valley.
I feel like the thing that you need to understand about Silicon Valley is that, you know, it comes out of the World War II and the Cold War and all of this investment that went into the Bay Area and some other hubs around the United States for World War II, for the Cold War, for the United States to like challenge the Nazis and then the Soviet Union, right? And so what they needed was, you know, to develop their technological capacities and their defense technologies in particular. But around the time of the Vietnam War, there becomes more of a division there, right? So there's a lot of people in Silicon Valley who work in these tech industries who are very uncomfortable with the fact, and in universities as well, that now they are, you know, receiving all this money from, you know, the Defense Department, the Pentagon, what have you, and now, you know, the result of their work is being used to bomb these people in Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, places like that. But then this other group of people who really want to try to start to position technology through a different lens, and to say that, you know, they are not aiding the military-industrial complex, they are not aiding, you know, the U.S. government to, you know, do its foreign wars and stuff like that. Actually, they are working on technologies that are designed to empower the individual, you know, that are going to change the world in these different ways.
At the same time as the tech sector is moving in that direction, so are a few hippies. 750,000 hippies, actually. Mostly white, middle-class young adults who, in the late 60s, left the cities and suburbs in droves and headed straight for California, Colorado, and New Mexico to establish collective communes.
The aggressive determination of hippies to start a new society has made its mark upon San Francisco's Haight-Ashbury.
While the hippies generally opposed technology, the idea of a utopia founded on decentralized communication that flooded the pages of the Whole Earth catalog was actually appealing to them too. Most famously, it appealed to people like Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs. God, look at that. Look, I'm on television. Hey. Isn't that amazing?
This is what happens if you don't have a structural critique. This is why materialism is so important, you know? And genuinely why, like, actually, like, Hassan's commentary is so important. The fact that Hassan has a materialist worldview and is arguing, like, for structural change of capitalism is critically important. We can't just be building like a better capitalism. That's not the path forward. And for a lot of my life, like that was like the most you could get from anybody on TV, anybody who had any like actual voice or actual like following, like you would get a better version of capitalism, you know, free healthcare, stuff like that.
Yeah, it is.
Before starting Apple, Jobs was one of these hippies. He spent time at an apple farm turned commune during the countercultural revolution, coming of age in the era of hippie culture and Tech's resistance to Vietnam at the same time. It's probably why Jobs called the Whole Earth catalog
one of the Bibles of my generation.
But this wasn't just happening with a few people here and there. By 1995, these beliefs had basically become the official ideology of Silicon Valley. So much so that, in a special issue of Time magazine called Welcome to Cyber...
Lord of the Guys, thank you so much for the 5 months. Appreciate you.
Cyberspace, Stuart Brand, the guy behind the Whole Earth catalog...
By the way, welcome in Hasanabi heads, everybody who came in from the Hasanabi stream. Also, we see you. Mods, I need you to take down every viewer that's just joined in the last 45 minutes. You are being added to the Gooner list. Yeah, I'm never gonna look at you the same. Okay, all of you. Yeah, all of you Gooners. Okay, I know exactly who you are. We have your names and we're writing them down. All right. Okay. The Gooners. What is this?
There is not a single dissenting voice with his fucking straight up radical, anti-American, anti-Semitic, fucking pro-China, pro-Russia, pro-terrorism takes. This is fringe, psychotic shit that is not normal. And
Okay. That's insane. Vekanon, thank you so much for the sub. Appreciate you. That is insane. I came from Maple's chat. Don't lump me in with those sickos. Okay, all right, okay. Well, welcome in Maple Takes chatters. What's a gooner? You're a gooner. No, I'm just kidding. Gooning. Here, let our good friend Norm Finkelstein. Let me let Norm Finkelstein explain gooning to you.
Cultural thing in the terms of culture right now, we're in a model of what you might call competitive capitalism, where you have just these tiny units, a Mars Review here, a compact magazine here, the Drift there. There are 10,000 little units out there. It's like the era of competitive capitalism. And oddly enough, in my era, it was the era of monopoly capitalism, which is to say, in cultural affairs, you had very defined precincts. You had the so.
When do we get into the gooning? When does he talk about gooning in this?
Times in my day was called the newspaper of record, and part of it being the newspaper of record was you had to preserve a certain kind of dignity. And right now, the Times has completely jettisoned any.
The New York Times has no dignity.
I don't know if they coined it or whether it's a common.
Oh yeah, here we go.
The expression is gooning, Gooning.
Grooming or gooning?
Gooning, Gooning. It means basically being transfixed with porn, video porn, for like 24 or 48 hours straight. If straight's the right word there.
This is all you motherfuckers.
And it struck
all you motherfuckers right now watching the Hasanabi broadcast tonight.
But it struck me that even though this crowd considered itself bohemian, and even though this crowd considered itself, what would you say, anti-establishment, it struck me this was exactly the crowd that would go over to fascism.
The Gooners, be careful, Gooners. fascism is around the corner and you're going to fall right into it. Yeah. This is the crowd, the gooners in my chat. We're watching you. I'm keeping an eye out. Yeah, you better be freaking careful.
Celebrated his movement's victory over tech culture with an article he titled,
Nah, but for real, whoever did Grand's plastic surgery deserves a Nobel Peace Prize. I think they deserve a medal. They deserve to be put on magazines, like Time Magazine Person of the Year. You know what I mean? Like they need their cake and they need their flowers.
Owe it all to the hippies. This is the rosy history of cyber-libertarianism, an unproblematic gathering of engineers and hippies promoting computers, rejecting tyranny, and becoming the heralds of a new generation that somehow married engineering brilliance with social justice. It's a telling history that certainly explains why cyber-libertarianism can be a convincing political ideology. It promotes justice, self-organization, and crucially sells its participants, those who live and work in Silicon Valley proper, on the opportunity to become a successful high-tech entrepreneur making money doing the right thing. But it's a history that, for all the mention of hippie social justice, completely ignores politics and who cyber-libertarianism really benefits. Remember Reagan?
Come on, bro, she's natty.
By 1989, he was fully on board with libertarianism too. At a speech in London's Guildhall, he said, quote, "The Goliath of totalitarianism will be brought down by the David of the microchip. More than armies, more than diplomacy, more than the best intentions of democratic nations, the communications revolution will be the greatest force for the advancement of human freedom the world has ever seen." 6 years later, so was Clinton. His administration went a step further towards realizing the cyber-libertarian utopia, shuttering the NSF-net, the public.
This video is great. It's a lot less about Elon than I thought it would be. He's going after the heart of like Silicon Valley ideology rather than like talking about Elon Musk's like personal ideological history.
Internet and turning it over to private companies. And 1 year after that, a cyber-libertarian manifesto, John Perry Barlow's Declaration of the Independence of Cyberspace, was written and published. Not just on the internet, mind you, at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. For a movement pitching itself as a revolutionary counterculture at the vanguard of true freedom, this kind of institutional support from Reagan, Clinton, and the world's wealthiest individuals might seem a bit odd. But it's not. And you can see why in Barlow's manifesto. Of course, there's the usual cyber-libertarian stuff about unbounded communication and free speech absolutism, but the message that is constantly reinforced is that governments are bad. That governments are, by definition, the negation of freedom, and the only thing standing in the way of a new source of true freedom that we can have with technology. And while what's in the manifesto is interesting, it's more interesting that nowhere does Barlow mention corporations or capitalists. See, the thing about hippies is that their politics were nice and vague.
Yeah, exactly.
Unlike the New Left, which was actively involved in political organization and explicit.
And also, like, I have to say, like, not all of them were like this. Do you know what I mean? And the hippies are a very specific thing. I think some people use the hippies to equate, like, all of the protest movement happening at that period of time. Which is not true. There was like a pretty significant, you know, like obviously the Black Panthers were happening around this time and they were very inherently anti-capitalists. There's a lot of anti-capitalist movement happening here. However, the hippies were not it. They were not it. Some just like drugs, and all of them were very, very affected from the decades of McCarthyism and Red Scare propaganda that they were very still actively under. You know, like, they aren't immune to the propaganda.
Explicitly socialist, hippie ideology preached the values of social justice without actually confronting the core of racial imperial capitalism head on. They just hoped to do away with politics entirely and papered over race and class differences rather than integrating them into their vision of justice. What you were left with was a semi-political ideology that advocated individual pleasure and an abstract anti-government message without many more details than that. Freedom in the hippie counterculture just meant freedom from government oversight of any sort, democratic or otherwise. And this really appealed to cyber libertarians who were looking for a way to reject government tyranny, but still keep the privileges they got from their comfortable status in the capitalist hierarchy. And it clicked perfectly with Reagan's rabidly anti-government rhetoric. Coming at it from this different angle, though, this hippie technology thing, could give Reagan's policy of gutting welfare and making his rich buddies richer a progressive coat of paint. While cyber libertarianism could adopt the aesthetics of rebellious progressivism thanks to the hippies, it could also, without ideological contradiction, be completely compatible with the neoliberal definition of freedom, the idea that coercion is something only the state can do. Neoliberals could look progressive, and tech companies could get the government's support with neither side needing to compromise on any of their principles thanks to the idea that technology was a magical fix for any political problem. And the effect of this harmony between a vague definition of freedom but radical aesthetics is that it takes perfectly reasonable progressives, who would otherwise be completely
I don't know what that is, so no.
reforms and the dismantling of useful public government services, and tricks them into embracing neoliberal politics by dressing it up in the language of digital freedom. But the thing is that all of this is bullshit. Neoliberalism and its cyber-libertarian variant has never been about getting rid of government, just twisting it to suit corporate purposes.
Yeah.
It's never been about promoting freedom and free speech, just equating free speech with corporate power to protect capitalists from democratic scrutiny. It's never been about getting rid of government services in the public interest, just ridding capitalists of the responsibility to pay the taxes that make them possible. And no place is more emblematic of these truths than Silicon Valley. Elon Musk rails about the evils of government, but is very much looking forward to taking on a leading role in it under Trump, and regularly accepts billions in government subsidies. Google's leadership revolves in and out of government roles in organizations like the NSA. ARPANET, the foundation of the
CR, you followed tonight, right? Welcome in.
government and public research university-run project for years before being sold for parts. The US government pours billions of dollars into buying planes, missiles, electronics, and nuclear bombs from Californian companies, and all the infrastructure that makes Californian society possible had to be created by state projects. There is no internet without
Paul, thank you so much for the gifted.
quote-unquote intervention, and digital space can never be divorced from physical space. The rhetorical divide is just tech billionaires trying to carve out areas where they can be as tyrannical as they want to be. Musk preaches free speech from every rooftop, but since he's taken over Twitter, he's had his engineers boost his own tweets by a factor of 1,000, complied with more government censorship requests than Twitter used to, launched defamation lawsuits against those whose speech casts him in a negative light, arbitrarily suspended left-wing users and journalist Twitter accounts, and throttled links to news sites he doesn't like the New York Times.
They don't actually care about free speech. Let's be
yeah, no shit.
From the start about what they are interested in is ensuring that people on the right and people on the far right, people who have very bigoted opinions, people who are very clear racists.
Yeah, we should also nationalize Twitter.
Can say whatever they want and will not feel any degree of pushback or consequences for that.
Under the cover of decentralized networks and open source tech,
his actions with regards to Twitter, actually, I feel like no American billionaire has wielded their power and used it so blatantly. Just I'm rich and this is allowed. Obviously a lot of American billionaires have wielded their power and affected American politics for generations. This has always been happening. But to this degree, to just Rockefeller, yeah, you might be right with that. Because didn't he buy a bunch of newspapers and shit? I mean, it's basically that, yeah. Even Bezos and them, yeah, Rockefeller did it harder than anyone. Yeah, I think you might be right. Yeah, but it's this new era of just buying a social media platform and then manipulating the algorithm to your will and changing the nature of the website to such an incredible degree has been quite a shock to see. Been quite interesting, you know?
Libertarians like Elon Musk paper over the fact that their wealth, connections, power, and control over our lives completely dwarf the small amount of power any one of us has. Creating these online spaces without democratic
No, I don't remember that.
is an opportunity to disguise their power trip as free speech, and it's always been intended
Yeah, welcome in, Sketchy.
as such. In the Cyphernomicon, another one of these cyber-libertarian founding texts, Timothy May doesn't mince words about this. Cyber-libertarians are...
By the way, chat, it is 9:11 right now, 9:11 p.m. So make sure you take that opportunity to consider gifting a sub. We can't run ads on the channel even if we wanted to. But, you know, for $5.99 or for free with the Twitch Prime, you can support the channel and make leftist spaces like this on this platform more possible. Like Lord of the Flies 420 just did. Thank you for the 5 community gifted subs. Also, I have a conspiracy. Oh, there we go. I was just going to say, I have a conspiracy theory that these motherfuckers turned off Hype Train on my channel. But there we go. We got a Hype Train right now. Let's go. Thank you for starting the Hype Train.
Explicitly anti-democratic. They want a space where they make the rules and can wield their privilege however they want. And what they want is to keep their power. And the best way to do that is to keep insisting that they are the true defenders of freedom and distract from all the awful problems we know come from tech billionaires. Instead, they'll now pin the blame for all society's ills on those without power. Elon is fully obsessed with the white nationalist declining birth rates in the West thing, and by all accounts has turned Twitter into an unusable Nazi safe space. He is one of the loudest voices against immigration and a huge fan of all the associated racist dog whistles. This racism, too, has been part of cyber-libertarian thoughts.
Partisan! 5 subscribers! Thank you for the 5 gifted sub. Thank you, thank you. By the way, if you get gifted a sub, it's a great thing. I'm trying to get 70-30 right now, a 70-30 split of my revenue. I'm currently at a 60-40 split. In order to get 70-30, I have to get 300 sub points for 3 months in a row. And I'm right on the line, chat. So if you've been gifted a sub, you can help me. You can help the channel a lot if you gift 1 sub on top of that. Like if you got gifted this month, but you can afford to gift a sub, gifting 1 sub on top of your gifted, it'll say like paying it forward or something like that, and that counts for the for that thing. So
given 17 gift subs
the beginning.
You know, I was talking
oh yeah, I know all about Musk's like breeding thing.
About how, you know, it's not a new industry. It emerges from World War II and the Cold War, but there was the foundations of it long before that in the Bay Area. Stanford University, you know, its first president was a eugenicist, a very prominent one. And these ideas have been promoted at Stanford University for a very long time, and it was one of the hotbeds of eugenic thought, you know, for years. And within the tech industry, with this engineering mindset that they have, these sorts of ideas are not...
Versilium, thank you for paying forward your sub. That is exactly what I was talking about, baby. Thank you.
Completely uncommon, I would say, to put it charitably.
Again, in the Cyphernomicon, May asks if the cyber-libertarian vision for the internet will help racists, and he's pretty enthusiastically cheering on the idea that yes, it would. The Aryan nation in Germany could use a privatized, deregulated, decentralized internet to organize. For May, these are just a group...
Country Nuts, thank you for the 500 bits.
Beliefs from the local majority, and so reducing democratic oversight of their genocidal ideology is the same thing as freedom. Cyber-libertarians don't think historical baggage matters, but it is a fact that wealth and privilege accumulate. Racism and sexism are built into our societies and institutions. We can fight that, politically, but that would involve democratic processes and the government. And anything that makes those things more legitimate is a threat to tech billionaires.
Basically what we see right now is the tech industry trying to cement its power, trying to make sure that it won't be held to account as it increasingly tries to breach labor regulations, breach environmental regulations and things like that. But also to make...
Yo, Brisket Fingers paying forward the sub they got from Sorry with 5 of their own. Let's fucking go, Brisket Fingers. I love that username too. As a boy from Kansas City myself, I fuck with some brisket. Also, you got Sakura Gore in there on the gifted. Let's go. W's all around from that chatter.
Make sure that they won't be affected.
Level 5 hype train.
And
Let's get through this video and then we'll do some dancing.
A big part of the reason why they're not just embracing the Republican Party, but right-wing and extreme right-wing parties around the world, because they want to evade the type of regulation, the type
yeah, Space Ace. Somebody sent that earlier.
That, say, the Democratic
very, very interesting
and progressive parties around the world are, you know, threatening the tech industry with, or even moving forward with.
If your only political beliefs are that technology can solve problems on its own, that democracy is a sham, and that disruption is always inevitably good, you very easily fall into a horrible place. A place where wealth and power and privilege consolidate, where democratic power is hamstringed, and the bigoted club of a few self-important tech billionaires takes the reins. If your only definition of freedom is, I can do what I want, and not, society should be a place where we look out for each other.
Acid Burns, thank you for the 2 gifted subs.
All thrive. You get little tech kings running the show for them and their powerful, racist friends, convincing you that because they can do whatever they want, it means that you can too. But that's not how it works. Their freedom doesn't trickle down.
Damn, great video.
As I mentioned at the beginning of the video,
very good video. All right, chat, y'all are juicing me right now. We got some good shit going on. You know what we call that around here, chat? You know what we call that? We call that praxis, baby. We call that shit praxis.
You promise.
Sometimes I feel like Karl Marx, but that would be dogmatic. Sipping all this drink, I just spilled it on my fabric. If you have that knowledge, then you know.
Yo, chat, who's gonna be here Tuesday morning? Same place, different time, okay? Tuesday morning, 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central Time. I might go live earlier than that. But we're doing a gun safety stream. I hired a gun like instructor, a handgun trainer. He's gonna train us all on guns on Tuesday morning. Don't fucking miss it.
Sorry, I'm a communist. Take a flight to Cuba. Roll a blunt right in that bit. All up in Jamaica. Swear you need to see this shit. She don't wear no makeup. Wanna give me all of it.
We need to take like all of it.
Take like all of it. Careful who you
talk to, cause they fed and they be counterfeits.
The AR for the AK like a Soviet. Say I
oh, Theo Broma. That's so great. I have jury duty that day. Watch it in the lobby and they'll never choose you. Watch that in the lobby and then you will be let go. It's very easy.
Like some opiates. Sometimes I feel like Karl Marx, but that would be dogmatic. Sipping all this drink, I just spilled it on my fabric. If you have that knowledge, then you
chat, we got 1 minute left on the hype train. Join in right now if you can.
catch me lacking. Sometimes I feel like Karl Marx, but that would be dogmatic. Sipping all this drink, I just spilled it on my fabric. If you have that knowledge, then you know.
Air Pop Tart with the gifted. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Never catch me lacking.
Let's go, level 5 achieved. Vi rule IV. Let's go with the 5 gifted. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Chat, this is what I'm looking at. This is what I'm trying to do right here. See this? If you're on my stream, you see that? November, help me reach partner +2. It says 250 out of 300. I need to get to 300. We got it last month, and we need to get it this month and next month, and then I'll have 70-30 for a whole year. So tier 2 and tier 3 subs really help a lot. If you're considering gifting 5 gifted subs, maybe consider dropping a tier 3 instead. You know what I mean? That currently right now that actually helps the channel a little bit more. Katsi, thank you for the community sub. Paying forward that shit. Appreciate you.
So if the piggies come on barking, I'm another time. The traitors to the working class, so it's completely justified. And you wonder why we hate the cops, cause were forced to watch this shit a lot. Solidarity could make it stop. So
hit your fucking cop with a bonky bonk.
To the front with a juxtaposition. Just guns versus jugs, that's just a juxtaposition. Just so you know, I brought some veggies and a can of beans. Now we got the water and
Super Dark, thank you for paying forward your sub. Thank you. You have a playlist for this? No, I just play them off of the YouTube. I'll definitely link this one and Praxis too, though. By the way, chat, this one, Die Happy remix. This is No Shoe and Die Happy Music, who is a chatter, who is a person in the stream. We love Die Happy Music. He's been one of my longest time fans. Making these absolute fire beats, bro.
like me, then give me some dance. Ooh, if you wake up like me, then shake that ass. Go ahead and shake that ass. Ooh, if you wake up.
One in chat if you're shaking your ass to this right now.
Ooh, if you wake up just like me, then hit that dance now. Hit that funk dance, baby.
Bro, Die Happy popped off on this. Just like y'all popped off on the level 7 hype train, baby. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Just like a poop job. They wanna know what I think when I was first. Thought that popped into my head. This is bonkers.
If you got any more love, now's the time. And I'll shut up about it for the rest of the... Yeah, I'll link it, Beast. I'll shut up the rest of the stream. What you gotta weather acorn or a water jug.
Only bitch, it's a life lesson. If you're resourceful and you think it be the way.
If you hate cops like me, then give me some dabs.
Ooh, if you hate cops like me, then shake that ass. Ooh,
yo, Catry Nuts, thank you for the 100 bits. Oh, thank you for grabbing that, Lord. Bigfoot Drive Stick with the gifted. Let's go.
Bigfoot Driver Stick gifted a tier 1 sub to Wiki
98. All right, I'm gonna hit the pipe for you guys. Thank you for the love. We're celebrating tonight. Let's go. Thank you, chat. Thank you. Okay. For our next video. If it loads.
Mike.
Okay, for our next video, we have Sam Cedar in the Majority Report bringing on good friend of the show, Mike Frompa. Mike Frompa. Okay. Now listen, chat. I heard there was some controversy. I heard this was like contentious. I don't know what happened. I haven't watched it. Just so we all know, Mike and I disagree on some things. And that's okay. That doesn't affect my comradeship with him. I still consider him a friend of mine. You know what I mean? Like we're super chill. This is never going to be a Mike hater stream. Period. And even if I disagree with some of his takes, that does not mean that I have any negative or ill will towards Mike from Frompa. Who is Mike Frompa? He's a Central Committee. Mike from PA, you might know him as. He's a good guy though. He's a great streamer. He's a good guy. I got no problems with Mike, even if we disagree, and we disagree on some stuff. Whenever we get together, we are yapping it up. You got to pull us apart. We are yapping it up, but it's always towards the same direction, and I appreciate that, you know. But we don't agree. We disagree with each other, and it's fine. You know, it doesn't mean nothing. I'm saying this to dissuade and to blast any drama purgatory out of the chat, because this is not why I wanted to watch this video. And in low-key, I wanted to watch this video really bad, but I was low-key a little bit like hesitant to, because I was like, I don't want people to, even if I have disagreements with him, I don't want people to think I'm beefing with him or that there's any like You know what I mean? And I want to just make it really clear. I like Mike. I think he's a good guy. You know what I mean?
From PA, from his show.
Is he always correct? Do I always agree with him? No. Why do you assume you disagree with him? I know I disagree with him on some things. I know that because Mike and I know each other in real life. We've talked to each other in real life. And also I'm like familiar with his work and the content he produces. And I agree with him on way, way, way more than we disagree with. You know, we agree with we agree with each other a lot more than we disagree with each other. But there are some things I disagree with him on.
Show the central
mainly the role of the role that the Democratic Party will have in achieving socialism.
Pity. Mikey there.
Yeah, and also that part, the authoritarianism. I'm less of a authoritarian. I don't really like, I'm an abolitionist. I don't think Mike would consider himself an abolitionist at all. And so our politics are a little different, you know? But I gotta go pee. So I'm gonna start this and then I'll go pee. And then I'll be back. But I'll listen to it on my phone.
Going there.
I have my own scroll, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah, it's also because my streaming setup is under development, right? So it's sort of like how you very smoothly cover up the part of the room where the pile of equipment is.
Well done.
Yeah.
So I was saying at the before we went to the break that you called into this show. I feel like maybe it was the day after the election, and said in 2016 that you had been canvassing and running some canvassers, and you were getting reports back during the day that like 25% of the people that you had knocked doors on to get out the vote were actually Trump voters, which was consistent with sort of like other parts that I had been reading about with Clinton, and their whole operation was to sort of algorithmically determine, with the help of the Google folks, where the voters were, and it turned out it did not work. And so there was a lot of get out the vote wasted, and not just wasted, like redirected in the wrong place. What's your sense of this time around? Was that one of? I mean, I think there were.
Is he talking about third parties?
Like, half a dozen but-fors with Clinton. Had she maybe done, been able to have volunteers go out there, more volunteers go out there, she might have won it. It's a very, very close election, 40,000 votes over the course, or I should say 70,000 votes over the course of 3 states. Had she campaigned in Michigan and Wisconsin, maybe she would have won. Had the Comey letter not come out, maybe she would have won. I mean, there was a bunch of these things that could have impacted it. But didn't. What's your sense in terms of like Harris's loss?
Well, I have to say that I was one of the few.
Oh, they're talking about canvassing done by the Harris campaign and where they were choosing to do it. From my understanding of the election, Harris actually had a pretty good ground campaign. Like, both had people volunteering and like knocking doors, and was like out doing speeches like constantly in ways that Hillary wasn't. But it doesn't matter if you have a bunch of people knocking doors if they're not saying something that reaches the person behind the door when the door is answered. If they're not offering like good policy, if they can't like accurately describe the campaign and inspire hope, then it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean?
Few people who was saying that Donald Trump was going to win this.
Yeah, I know. Everybody, we've beaten this into the fucking ground. I'm glad we're finally moving past like election analysis, but yeah, basically the election analysis, the only election analysis that you should ever listen to is the policy of the Democratic Party was absolutely vapid. They tried to gaslight the American working class into believing that everything is just fine. When people know that shit's not just fine, and shit hasn't been just fine for a very long time. And so that kind of gaslighting compared to Donald Trump's like blaming it on immigrants, even if that is a lie. Because of course immigrants are not controlling, inflation and ruining the American economy. It's the rich that are doing that. But Donald Trump gave a story and an answer that the American people could believe, and Kamala Harris gave no story and told them that they were just fine and that everything is working great and that 4 more years of Biden is going to make their lives better. And nobody believed that
election, and was going to win Pennsylvania for a while. And I think the main issue is that all of the trends that began really with Donald Trump have just continued. And the Democratic Party has kind of positioned itself in an electoral checkmate because basically elections are about math. One of the first things you learn as an activist or a candidate is that you have to find your win number, which is 50% of the vote plus 1, right? What is your win number? What voters are you going to bring out and where so that you win your district or you win the state, et cetera. And the Democratic Party has kind of made these trades of we'll trade the Republicans 2 working class voters for 1 upper middle class voter. And unfortunately, they've run out of upper middle class white voters that they can win in the suburbs. In fact, the suburbs mostly fell off a little bit from 2020. But the trends with the working class, now it's spreading to other working class people outside of the white working class group are trending in that direction. And I think that's why it was so obvious to me. Maybe it's because I spent so much more time on the ground in places like, Northampton County that ended up flipping back to Trump. It was an Obama, Trump, Biden, Trump county. And like that is, and those counties, and because I've spoken to so many of those Pennsylvanians, former steel workers or their relatives from the Bethlehem steel plant that is still a ruin in Bethlehem 30 years later. It shouldn't be a surprise that the Democratic Party has continued to lose ground with those type of voters. And now it's spreading to,
And you were, that whole, for every blue collar worker we lose in Pittsburgh, we will gain in the, 2 in the Philly suburbs. That
did not end up happening.
Direct quote from Chuck Schumer in the run-up to that election in 2016. But my understanding is that for the most part, they did hit their win numbers. The problem is that Trump had higher win numbers. I mean,
that's actually a good point, Sam.
They, for the most part, they did hit their win numbers. They saw, an analysis that came out today, depressed voters in, depressed numbers in Philly, in Detroit, and in Milwaukee, which is really sort of like what was problematic with Clinton as well. Those voters did not come out. So yeah, it was a problem, without a doubt. And, but here we are now, I guess.
One of the things I want to say is I think the evidence was pretty clear she was in trouble, for the whole time. And I think one of the things that I want to urge people to do is have a little bit more, we need to have kind of a reckoning, especially in the lib left or left wing media sphere, where a lot of people who came out with totally spurious claims about polling were kind of presented as oracles.
Okay. Dude, this guy has such a fucking hate boner for Edinger Bentham. I know for a fact he's talking about Edinger Bentham right here. Oh man, I don't care about Edinger Bentham. I think he's whatever. He's like, when I heard he was like 22, I was like, okay, well, come on. I was like, yeah, all right. Well, I mean, he'll learn. He'll learn. He's a young guy. Whatever.
I
think he's talking about the dude with the keys or whatever. No. He's talking. He's talking about it increments.
For example, one thing that I saw was Atlas Intel, which is a polling firm that was the most accurate polling firm in 2020, was kind of accused almost as being a QAnon level pollster or fake pollster, and in 2024 they were also the most accurate pollster again. And like that,
I think having random Zoomers taking poli sci 301 classes on stream is a bad thing. I don't care. Why would I be upset about who Hassan has on his stream? Like, I don't know. I have people on my stream who aren't experts all the time. Like, whatever, you know?
really served us poorly, because this election, while it was decisive and that all the swing states swung to Trump,
like Chevron. Exactly. I had Chevron on my stream. Okay.
Unwinnable. You know, and what we saw was that young people and people of color their turnout was depressed. It wasn't just that people swung towards Trump. I would say like 1 in 10 people who voted for, who were, you know, that didn't show up, didn't show up or voted for Trump, swung to Trump. About 90% of the people that are missing are people that just didn't show up.
By the way, chat, if you haven't seen my Chevron interview, you should really watch that. You should really watch it. It was an incredible like moment on the stream. I really like fucking handed it to them. I was quite a Giga Chad in that moment. Yeah.
They swung to the couch.
Right. And so, but I mean, what difference would it have made in your mind if there was a pollster? I don't know who Atlas is, but and to be honest,
that's a pretty big.
I mean, to be honest, I don't.
Yes, yeah. Drop it in the Discord. It's better. 'Cause I don't think we'll watch it right now while we're in the middle of this, but that sounds like something I'll play for sure.
The 2016 election, we had somebody on the show from Princeton said 90. I can't say it.
99% chance of Hillary.
Whatever.
Yeah,
I mean, so I don't really hold much stock in it. And I also really don't believe, and I think there was a time where it was the case, where polls would impact voter behavior. But I don't think that's the case anymore.
I agree.
And so what difference does it really make in that context? I mean, like, and I'm getting like, I am saying that did you vote in Pennsylvania? Did you like say you weren't going to vote?
Oh, no, I have a 100% voting record. I always vote.
Okay.
One thing that I would say is that I was staunchly opposed to Kamala Harris after her disastrous DNC speech. Full disclosure, for the first time in my life, I was like totally disillusioned. And I think one of those things is
You mean staunchly against?
I just thought that she was going to be a horrible person for the Democratic Party and the country, and that her defeat was inevitable because of her positions on Gaza, especially. You know, I have friends and family and that are of Middle Eastern descent. And, you know, I always found it kind of odd that liberals would tell me to vote Kamala, but I won't tell an Arab person or a Muslim person to vote for her. And I don't want to get off on like tangent about Kamala Harris, because she lost, and she lost for the reasons that I thought she might lose.
I'm just saying that. What do you think? I mean, you know, like I get that there, you know, pollsters who are wrong by, you know, a couple of points, but
the pollsters were right. The pollsters were right this election.
Well, okay, pollsters that are right or wrong may have influence, but it seems to me that like voting has even more influence.
Oh, I agree with that 100%.
What is he trying to say there?
100%. I wish we had a Democratic primary, you know, so that I think that was the crisis. I think the crisis that we saw the Democratic
happened
Party.
like a year and a half ago when Jill Biden and Hunter Biden basically said, you know, Dad, don't, stay in. And that was it. I mean, that's how cloistered he was.
Yeah. I mean, like, one of the things that I think we could see early, like your question about why do the polls matter? Well, I think the polls actually told us quite a lot. Like the evidence was pretty clear that young people and people of color, and I could pop this up on my screen.
Yeah, Mark, see, that's where it feels like he's going. Like he's like, oh, well, voting matters quite a lot. So if you're not voting, then it's your fault. And it's like, No. Like, what? You really have this? Like, we're blaming voters on Majority Report right now for Kamala's loss? Really? Like, aren't you guys are supposed to be like smarter than the DNC, right? Why are you taking the DNC's exact like line? Why are you taking their exact line on this and blaming voters for this? That's pretty bad.
Screen real quick just so people can see it.
I don't know if that's where it goes. I haven't seen this.
Poll that I did October 18th, it showed that 64% of black voters were very interested in the election and only 49% of 18 to 34-year-old voters. And it was very, 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 very obvious that that was going to happen. And that's exactly what happened. You know, is that the young people of color.
But I'm curious. So how does one respond to that poll at that point that makes a difference? Like, what are your options are on the table at that point?
Well, October 18th is pretty late. I think.
Like, does Sam think that it's more effective to just tell your audience to plug their nose and vote for Kamala than it is to like accurately critique Kamala's perspective and say like, I can't personally vote for this? That's kind of stupid. That's really stupid. Like, what? We are critiquing the Democratic Party because we want them to win. You understand that, right? Like, we don't want Trump to win, and that's why we were all saying the DNC needs to change its strategy. The DNC is adopting a losing strategy. Like, I'm not even talking about like punish the DNC or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, if we're just talking about how he used his platform, to me, yeah, critiquing the Democratic Party is a whole different thing.
If she had come out and run a more bold campaign.
No, I'm not talking about what she had done. I mean, I think it's pretty clear that, not only like the first order impact of her not breaking from Biden on Gaza, the second order impact that it depresses activists. And, that was clear under, when Biden was the candidate. I mean, I think there were other things that they did wrong. Like, they should have kept doing the weird thing because it was the only way to sort of like make it harder for the Republicans to define her positions and to make the. But I'm saying,
but like, why is it a good thing that it's hard for the Republicans to define her positions? She should have had very clearly defined positions and like defended them. Like, you can just have a very clear defined position. I want all Americans to have a health care. And then you defend them by saying currently 70,000 people a year die in America from lack of health care. We are undergoing, 20 9/11s every year because of this government's inaction on healthcare. We need to solve that. 20 9/11s is really bad. We need to solve that.
Us. Like us.
Oh, you mean the commentators? You mean commentators?
Well, commentators or listeners. We see that poll October 12th. What's the best thing for us to do in that situation?
Get the fuck out in the streets and protest. And force Kamala Harris to change her policy. What the fuck? What?
Oh, man, gosh.
Also, like, why is that even relevant? Like, we have power? Like, we have power in this. We don't have power to choose and to decide what everybody in the world votes for. What?
I guess
we have almost no power in this situation. Kamala Harris has all of the power.
I guess to raise our voices and hope that she'll change. I mean, like,
yeah, exactly.
I think at that point it's so late. It's sort of like one of those things is somebody took a gut shot, because they didn't want to wear body armor. And, you're asking me what's the best triage I could do at the last second. And the answer is, well, in the future, wear the body armor. Like, you're bleeding out. There's nothing we could do to rescue you at that point.
In that case,
and
it's like completely unactionable.
From our point of view, yeah, like
yeah, of course,
millions of people off the couch by saying you got to vote for Kamala Harris no matter what she supports.
Well,
like I don't think we can. I don't think we have that ability.
I don't know if we could lift millions of people. Do you think we could lift one?
Sure.
Not enough to swing any of these, especially like I'll give you an example. Like in Michigan.
What's more likely?
Sure, we can swing one. We can swing one, and that's why even though Mike is more, he invests more in electoralism than I do. I still came on here, and Mike, I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mike viewers, but I don't know if he did this, but I still told my viewers if you're in a swing state, you should probably vote for Kamala. I didn't vote for Kamala. I'm not going to vote for Kamala. And also I understand if you live in a swing state and you don't want to or you can't vote for Kamala. I understand that too. I get it because I'm also not voting for Kamala. But I think the best political moment, the political like decision in that moment. Yeah, I know Mike didn't say that. That's what I was saying. He said he was going to ban Kamala voters. I mean, come on.
Looking at that poll in October and getting Kamala Harris's campaign to change, when in fact,
yeah, I said that repeatedly.
Like, I mean, the problem obviously was like without the process of a primary, it has implications both for the candidate and for the voting population, right? And
yeah, exactly. I feel the same way, Liman. That's my take too. Like, yes, it would be objectively easier in a better world if Kamala won the election. It'd be easier for us to organize. Our lives would be different. But, I don't control the big things that make the decision for most American people. And to think that any content creator, Hassan included, has that kind of power is kind of crazy. Like, if that was the case, then why didn't fucking Taylor Swift change anybody's votes? Why didn't Meg Thee Stallion change anybody's votes? Why didn't Beyonce change anybody's votes? Or Oprah? These people have way more influence than any of us do. And they did exactly what you're talking about. And it made no difference. So, why are we talking about this? Why are we talking about this? What's the point of this? What's the point of any of this?
I mean, I'm just curious at that point in terms of like, you see that poll in terms of like where we're situated. What's the best reaction in terms of the most, in terms of efficacy? Like, I think it's pretty clear. Maybe at that point, like there's maybe no winning, but let's just assume like, you got a month. I'm just.
Okay, but what about Beyonce or Taylor Swift? Come on. Or Liz Cheney. What about Liz Cheney, huh?
Curious as to like what becomes the most sort of valuable response to that.
I don't think you're going to like my answer, which is basically telling Kamala Harris that you will not support her unless she changes on these issues that are severely damaging her campaign, and you use your voice as kind of a proxy for all the millions of people that you see that are not going to turn out. And maybe if she turns, it might be too late to turn the Titanic at that point because it's steaming full speed ahead at the iceberg. But that's what I tried to do.
But it was also like, we have to remember, as soon as Kamala came on as a political figure, the entire media immediately attacked her for flip-flopping. Okay, so they attacked her for flip-flopping instantly and demanded that she solidify her policy. So by doing that, they locked her in. Okay, she had to come out with policy, and once that policy was out, it was never going to change. It was never, ever going to change, because then she would just be, the people would just say she's flip-flopping. And also, I mean, genuinely, it is because she doesn't have the rhetorical gumption and the rhetorical goods to be able to like justify that kind of shift in ideology, or to be able to sell it to the American people. I think a better politician, a more charismatic figure might be able to get away with that, but Kamala was not that person.
No, I was always open and like said, hey, I want to support Kamala Harris if she will break with Biden on Gaza, especially if she'll offer a couple platform positions that progressives can sell. I'm easy. My standards are extremely low. But she instead leaned into the I would do nothing differently. Joe Biden was a great president.
I know what she did. I mean,
dude, I also like. I find it very revealing that Sam keeps deflecting. Whenever Mike starts trying to talk about the actual policies and the actual politics of the Kamala campaign, Sam just keeps deflecting away from it. Like he's doing the campaign a service by not putting the blame on the actual people who are in power. He's putting all of the blame on the people who have no power in this situation and none of the blame on the people who have all of it. Every time we talk about the people who actually made the decisions that lost the election, he's like, "Oh well, yeah, I know." It's like, no, what? I don't get it. What's going on? Like, this is the thing. This is the whole thing. Who is Sam blaming again? Mike. He's blaming Mike, and it seems like by proxy. I mean, in my opinion, he hasn't said this explicitly, but in my opinion, I think he's blaming like uncommitted voters. He's blaming anyone who sat at home and didn't vote for Kamala. You know?
How do I turn the Titanic from the violin chair? And it's like you can't. Like I could.
Yes, exactly.
Say, hey, iceberg ahead, and that's what I did.
Well,
that's a great analogy, dude.
You're not just saying iceberg ahead, because I think saying iceberg ahead is not the only thing. I mean, it may have no impact to run to the starboard side.
Acid Barons, thank you for getting foreign sticks.
Side of the boat, and help the boat turn. Whatever the starboard. I don't know the two sides. Let's just say it may help the boat avoid the iceberg by running to the left side.
No, Sam, not if the captain isn't turning, dude. Not if the captain isn't turning, bro. No, that will not help. If the captain is intent on driving into the fucking iceberg, then standing on one side of the boat is not going to make a difference.
And maybe more people do that. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. But I don't know. It seems like you just felt like you were just going to yell iceberg.
Well, I mean, I did what I could, to advocate for a platform that could win, and I try to use evidence-based arguments for it.
Once you determine, without that platform, once you determine she's not going to do it, and she's not going to change because of your Twitch stream or our Twitch stream, it's more likely, it seems to me, if you or I or people of our ilk have any influence at all, we might be able to get a couple of people to vote in one way or not. I don't know, or at the very least, if there's any reason for us to even engage in this stuff, we might have more. You got to assume a couple, and.
Who are you doing the gun training with? It'll be with like Pink Pistols. Pink Pistols, which is like a LGBTQ, arm the gays, arm the queers organization.
And it feels like that to me is a more productive thing than,
blame the voters, blame the commentators and the voters for the campaign's inability to.
You are, Sam. He's 100% right. He's reading you to filth, bro. You seem ridiculous.
No, I'm not blaming in the same way.
You are.
I'm not blaming the.
I'm sorry, Unc. You are doing that, bro. You are doing that.
People who could run to the other side of the deck.
Thoughts on the SRA? They seem cool. I reached out. They just didn't get back to me in time. I couldn't. I sent them emails and shit. I just didn't get any word back. So this is who we went with.
For the boat headed to the iceberg. But I'm just saying, what action can you take to avoid that iceberg? Maybe it won't work. Maybe it will.
Okay, no, that's a perfect example. So, I mean, I think with the Titanic, it's going to hit the iceberg. You can calculate it out. I could look at it and I could say, even if all of us stood over here, you know, and I had the perfect knowledge to say that, and we hit the iceberg, my job is to then grab the pistol from whatever member of the security staff and go into the captain's chair and grab a hold of the wheel, you know.
Okay, now we're talking. All right, holy, okay, okay.
Next election for the next iceberg, you know.
No.
Because that's what our
understand.
job is now at this point.
Yes,
Back then,
I mean, but
then
you brought up
the iceberg.
the polling as if it was an issue, and my contention is, you know, that's all well and good, but I mean, there's really, you know.
I also I hate the way that Sam is like talking in this. I hate the way that he like just say what you want, dude. Say what you mean. I why is he? Yeah, he's waffling, and he's like being weird, and he's dismissing all of the very legitimate points that Mike is bringing up. Like, just get it off your chest, bro. Get it off your chest, brother. What do you got to say to him? Just say it. Just have that conversation. You know what I mean?
If you think a disaster's coming,
he's being confrontational, but he's also being like passive aggressive. It's passive too. Like I honestly think you have this opinion, Sam, then like roast him. Say it. But I think he doesn't want to say it because he knows that Mike is right too. And he doesn't want to have that same energy put back on him from Mike's POV. Because he knows a lot of people in his audience are more on Mike's side than his.
You do everything you can to avoid the disaster, as opposed to
Which is what I did. I did everything I could to avoid the disaster. I think people that were kind of
except for voting, you didn't vote. You didn't vote, and you know that Kamala really did lose by one single vote. Kamala lost by one single vote in Pennsylvania. I don't know if you know this. I looked it up. It was a single vote in your county. Very, very interesting.
And Kamala actually made her more likely to lose because, it was very clear that, for example, in Dearborn, Michigan, that they were not going to support Kamala Harris without some sort of concession. And unfortunately, what we saw in the evidence is that Michigan actually swung the most toward Trump of all states that were swing states. And that, like, there was the biggest delta between 2020 and 2024. And that was foreseeable. And I think if more left liberals had been openly saying, hey, Kamala, you're unacceptable right now with this position that you have, and Joe Biden, you need to break from Joe Biden. And then, you know, ultimately what we do in the voting booth, like if I went in there and voted for Kamala Harris, that's an anonymous decision that I make at the last second. But with my public voice, I do what I can to try to push her to the left. And then there's another conversation that's coming, which is the more important conversation, which is who should we listen to going forward, right? Should we listen to the people who said she was going to win, that said it wasn't an important issue for young people, it wasn't an important issue for the voters, that she didn't need to break from Biden, and that everything is going to be okay and Kamala Harris is going to win? Or should we listen to the people that said, hey, we need to have an economic populist message. We need to have higher standards with the Democratic Party. We shouldn't play patty cake with, you know, the people that hate us and want to destroy the left of the Democratic Party. I mean, she was really setting her campaign up as an anti-left-wing campaign, a very Starmerist campaign.
Mm-hmm.
She was taking advice from the Starmer people.
Even more than Biden would have, in my opinion. Even more than Biden would have. I think Biden genuinely would have gotten more votes.
Who, when they took power in the Labour Party in the UK, the first thing they did is they threw out all the left-wing Democrats, like Jeremy Corbyn.
Wait, F? I don't think it's effing, but I'll pause because you're not the only person who said that too. Fishy was saying they were getting some jittering. Maybe it's on Twitch's end. I don't know. But everybody, if you need to refresh, now's the time.
Like physically out of the Labour Party, who accused him falsely of being anti-Semitic. who they made sure to delist and deselect a bunch of left-wing candidates from the Labor Party who have been loyal Labor members for decades. She was taking advice from those people. So if
Warren, you think Biden would have done worse than Kamala? Yeah, maybe. It's possible.
That would have been.
I think it depends on what his policies were. If you the reason I think maybe not is because if you remember, like the week before Biden dropped out, he was saying like, I'm gonna cap rent increases at $50. $50. Listen to me. Listen to what I'm saying. $50 rent. He was talking about national rent control. You know what I mean? Like that. If he actually like kind of expanded and had a whole economic policy that included federal rent control, I think that that genuinely would have done better. Like he wouldn't have campaigned as much as Kamala. You're right, but again, I don't know. I think he still would have lost, but I think he might have done better than Kamala. But again, I mean, we're going through so many hypotheticals of this, right? You know what I mean? Like hypothetical of like if he kept going, hypothetical of what his policy would be. You know what I mean? The bottom line, better policy would have done better. More progressive policy would have done better.
Her mission would have been to inculcate the neoconservatives like Liz Cheney, which was her number one surrogate that she closed the election with.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, yeah, we've believe me.
So if you're mad at me that Kamala Harris lost, I could just say, like,
I'm not mad
hey,
at you.
I tried my best to convince people that she needed to change, and I was very on board on board when the switch happened.
Mike, I'm not mad at you that Kamala Harris lost. I'm just saying, like, in terms of efficacy.
Get out of here, man. I hate you. Seem mad. You seem like you're mad. I hate this this passive aggressive shit. I just say it to my face, bro. Just say the shit to my face. I'm so glad you will never ever see this shit from me personally. If I think something, I'm gonna say it out loud. Okay? If I have an opinion, you don't need to guess because I'm going to tell you. All right. If I'm feeling a type of way about something, you're going to know. All right. That's how I've always been. I don't do this kind of shit. Okay. And sometimes it doesn't make me friends, you know, but I think it's a better way to operate. I think it's a better way to operate. And I've always been, when I have disagreements with Mike and shit, I've always said them out loud in public. I've criticized him on Twitter. I've criticized him, you know, I've messaged him on Discord and been like, hey bro, like, are you good? Like, here's why people are mad at you and stuff like that, you know? But that's what good friends do. In my opinion, that's what you should do. If you think somebody's wrong and making a fool of themselves around you, and they're like, you should like reach out and be like, yo, what's up?
See, you brought up the polls. I wanted to go forward from there. But from your perspective, what did Elise Slotkin do, let's say, in Michigan? Like when we saw, you know, a Gallego win in Arizona or Slotkin win in Michigan,
It's the passive aggressiveness to me. It's like, because to me, it's like, Sam, it's fine to have political disagreements with your friends, but this line of questioning to me is just like, it's like fucking, it's backhanded, dude. It's like, just say it, you know? That's what I just keep coming back to. Just say it. Just say the thing you want to say. Let's have the conversation you want to have, and let's stop dancing around it and, like, you know, deflecting from everything.
That Harris did not.
Well, I see a lot of people saying that it was their campaigns, but the reality is it's in the nature of the type of voters that Donald Trump won. Donald Trump won low propensity voters that traditionally was the purview of the Democratic Party, the working class. And one of the problems with lower propensity voters is they're not as ideologically committed. So what just happened is the Democrats did better with this upper class, more elite type of person who votes completely down ballot. And the Republicans won a lot of low propensity voters who just came in there to bullet vote for Donald Trump. And there was vote drop off. And so those people kind of, they walked through the raindrops because it was a close enough election that you have those low propensity voters. I think Slotkin was a little bit better on issues like Israel. I think she came out and said something, she said some bullshit. She was a huge AIPAC supporter, and she's going to be, another Kirsten Sinema. And she almost lost because of that. But I think it was the nature of the low propensity voters, not
so how do you reach the low propensity voter? Like, I mean, how do you do that if you're Kamala Harris with if that's the reason why?
Tell them they'll never have to pay for health insurance ever again for the rest of their life. Tell them that their rent won't go up. Like these are tell them that you're going to increase the minimum wage. You're going to make their paychecks go up. You're going to make their rent stay the same. And you're going to cut all of their healthcare expenses to zero. And immediately you're going to win a fuckload of states. I don't know why this is I don't know why people act like this is some fucking science that we all have to sit here and scratch our heads over. Like, the majority of American people are going to be like, fuck yeah, I want that.
She lost in those states. How do you reach that person in 100 days or whatever it was?
Well, I think most countries have elections that are a lot shorter than that. So the belly aching about it being short, I think, was
no. I'm just
asking.
I'm asking a straightforward question.
Yeah.
How do you reach those people who are not looking at the news, but maybe she goes on Rogan, I guess, or I don't know. Like, what is the solution?
Okay, so again, this framing is kind of crazy. Like, everybody's looking at the news. Now, how people get their news and what they're looking at, that's a different conversation. That is a different conversation. And I do think it is a big part of modern American politics that you engage with people where they are at, because just doing interviews on 60 Minutes and CNN and all of that is not going to reach the same amount of people it did 10 15 years ago, right? So how do you get your ideas out there? That's a whole different question. I think the main issue with the Kamala campaign was not how they got their ideas out there, it was the ideas that they were getting out there. What were the ideas? What would be their impact? Get me on Rogan, PR scrambles to navigate new media. I'm not subscribing to Semaphore.
For when you're running against this TV star, and to reach a low propensity, low news consuming the voter.
Well, I think the first thing is if we look at the campaign, she was most successful when people could delude themselves into believing she was going to be a break from Biden, which was very early on with the selection.
Yes, but she was most successful with people who were following. I mean, the people you're talking about are the ones who Googled on November 5th, did Biden drop out? That was the top trending search term on that day. I mean, so what do you do?
Well, I mean, she lost the double haters. She lost the people that didn't like both parties, number one. And if you want to get me to answer the question, I will say this, it's a materialist answer, which is these people did not believe she was the change candidate. She told people she wasn't the change candidate. She told people she was the Biden second term. She campaigned with very unpopular, very right-wing Republicans like Liz Cheney and Dick Cheney, who had no popular base. I think when she was popular, when her polls were the best, was early on when there was the switch out and young people of color, we were all progressives were excited that she might be closer to the Kamala Harris of 2020 than what ended up just being Joe Biden, but with a different presentation, a little bit younger. I don't think this was a messaging defeat. I think this was a material defeat. I think that Joe Biden presidency was very unsuccessful on the merits.
Yeah.
For example,
he's 100% right. It wasn't about the way that they got the message out. It was about the message. And that is the material realities of the people on the ground. And what the story is you're telling to justify or explain those material realities and, how they will change after you're elected.
Like
he's right.
The average age of a home buyer has reached an all-time high of 56 years old. The facts are that child poverty and poverty spiked in 2022 at the fastest rate it has ever done since the Great Depression.
Well, that was because
why, Sam?
We had
the ending of
the fastest rate in the
they ended the child tax credit ended.
Yeah, who did that? Who did that, Sam?
Plus, you also had inflation that was extremely high, and it's probably It's underestimated because we changed.
Why even bring that up? Yeah, we both know why it happened. Everybody knows why it happened. That isn't the Democrats are responsible for that.
We calculated inflation in the 80s.
I've heard people say that Biden was one of the best presidents for unions in a long time. Is that true? Yes, objectively. I'm willing to admit that even if that's true, they never talked about it. Two, that's not really what most people immediately care about because life has been getting harder regardless of that. Yeah, you're right. No, but Biden was the first American president to visit a picket line. His NLRB was very, very good, like the National Labor Review Board. He was objectively the best president for labor in history. However, that bar is on the ground. That bar is on the ground, and he could have done a lot better than he did, and we deserve a lot better. Yeah, it's true, but also it's not that big of a feat, I guess.
Do not include it.
And Boggles is also right too. Union membership is at an all-time low, so even the amount of people who that reaches is less than anyone else. You know what I mean? Even the people that care about unions is at an all-time low. So
insurance costs and interest costs, and the reality is both of those are spiking extremely much faster than inflation.
It is true. That's the thing, Russian, is that it is true, and his presidency was a failure. That's what I mean. When you judge him against other American presidencies, then he is definitely the most union. But when you judge him on the livelihood and the quality of life of American workers, then that's why he lost. That's why he lost. He was a total failure. Yeah.
Especially in places like Florida, where Kamala Harris did extremely poorly.
I think we can agree. I mean, my assessment of Biden's term is probably a little bit different from yours. When I look at unionization rates going up, and the
unionization rate hit a record low in 2023.
Over the course of the Biden administration, there were more unionization than we've seen in decades. But
there was more grassroots energy. But as far as
he's giving you the stats. Why are you? I love it whenever you give people an objective stat and they just repeat the opposite of your stat, but just non-objectively. It's no.
If you look at the total. No. Look at the employment, and I can pull up the
the amount. Yeah, the percentage of workers that are unionized in America is at an all-time low.
Report.
Oh no, I'm talking about new unions starting.
Okay.
New unions, new shops. The membership in unions may have
declined again.
Declined, but the number of new unions starting is exponentially larger, which is of course the first step when you're dealing with this. I mean, when you're dealing with a 40-year, decline or 50-year decline.
again, Sam taking the position of the Democratic Party here and saying, no, actually, you're doing fine. Like, this is the exact same gaslighting as Kamala. This is just a different, like, version of the same gaslighting, you know? That, no, the American economy actually is working for American people. It actually is working for the working class. Everything that you're talking about is made up. You know what I mean?
But all right, well, Mike, this was fun.
Is that his point? I don't even think that's his point. I think his point is that Biden was good for unions. And Mike's point was that it's not good enough. You know, it's not good enough. Like the anti-union momentum is so strong. You know, every year more and more unions are squashed. That, you know, like, even if we had a president like Biden that is more pro-union than others, it's not enough to change the tides. You know, like, that's not changing the pace. That's not changing the direction that the American economy is going, which in general is against unions and more towards 1099 non-employee work, even worse than that.
I got to jump though.
Listen, Sam, I mean, you know, I think all of us have a slightly different understanding of like where the country is, and where, you know, working people are. I think working people just see, you know, visible poverty. They see the fact that they can't afford to buy a home. They see the fact that, you know, unions are weaker than ever. They see a you know, pugilistic foreign policy that was imperialist abroad, and you know, and even the immigration issue was based on Joe Biden's extremely harsh punishments of Cuba and Venezuela, millions of refugees flowing because he sanctioned those countries and to try to destroy their economies and brought millions of people here. And then, you know, he doubled down on supporting Donald Trump's immigration policy as a panic rather than to re-examine any of that. So I hope in the future we can have a Democratic Party that's a little bit more progressive than the one that was utterly defeated and crushed into a quadfecta. All right, everybody.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Mike, great to see you again.
Great to see you, bud.
Bye-bye. All right, folks. To hear, see where Mike was. A little symmetry 8 years later. Number 13, if the defeat was material, I'm still confused why Democrats didn't lose more broadly everywhere. The House majority will be slim and all Dem senators won.
Well, there's
what? This person's like, yeah. Well, if there was material, then how come why didn't the Republicans win all 100 seats in the Senate? Like, what? Huh? Dude, wake up.
A few explanations for that. The gerrymandering has basically, the Republicans have juiced it too much, so where they're actually like maybe this has changed, but early results were that Dems may have done better than, say, the popular vote total in that because basically Republicans have run out of gerrymandering advantage. But the popular vote in all non-swing states is massively down. Harris got 400,000 less votes in Illinois. Like, this is and so all these people that we're talking about, the late turners, the late turnout people who like watch WWE and Rogan, they're only relevant because Harris depressed the vote of the people that usually swamp them.
Yeah, I mean, I think, but is your sense that that was a material determination, or it was more like won't break on? I mean, are you saying policy, or as
I don't think it's down to Harris even. I think this is a broad, long-term bottom draining out of the Democratic Party because they don't realize that people can't afford to live anywhere that can employ them, and there's a lot of people telling them the story. It's just the inflation post-COVID that got us. It's way deeper than that, and there is a massive denial about that, I think.
Yeah, I think there's, we're still sort of like paying for Obama's response to the 2008 crisis. You know, people forget there were millions of people who were foreclosed from their homes. It did occur to me, too, that when we interviewed Natalie Scher in March when was that? March of 2023 or 2022?
2022, because it was ahead of those midterms.
And she said she was not convinced that abortion would end up being the driver of the vote in the way that we hoped. And in 2022, it was a little bit obscured. Republicans had a greater turnout. It was just the way that it was distributed ended up being better for Democrats than had been anticipated. But it definitely feels like that her prediction that in states where abortion was safe, it wouldn't drive the turnout.
Chateau, she doesn't. Bro, during her concession speech, she was like smiling and laughing. That made me so angry. That made me really want to sharpen my pitchfork really bad. When she was like laughing and smiling and shit, it was like, oof, man, my pitchfork is getting dull. Just reminded me of that, you know?
People had hoped. And I will also say, again, you know, a part of from a messaging perspective, not, pretending that Donald Trump was not a Republican, that there were two different species of Republicans that were relevant, really undercut the message that Donald Trump is going to ban abortion nationally. Because he could just sit out there and go like, no, I brought it to the states. But when they bring him that bill, he will sign it, folks. And that could not be argued when Harris is saying, well, there are these types of Republicans and there are those types of Republicans, and he's a MAGA. And, you know, Biden obviously had that problem too.
Yeah, and like that's the thing, you know, Bernie got a little bit of heat saying, hey, don't just rely on the abortion issue. But, you know, here's a Fetterman staffer, Adam Gentleson, November 4th, 2024. Prediction, there has not been a rollback of rights on the scale of Dobbs in the post-war era, and the election results will reflect this. And that is something that I wish happened. But taking it for granted that it will.
If they do sign an abortion ban bill, how would they enforce that on states? I mean, federal agents would be arresting doctors. There would need to be, and this Trump campaign has spoken about this too, like, and a lot of Republican governors also, of like law enforcement departments that do investigations on women, you know, who have miscarriages and shit. Like, yeah, more cops. Exactly.
Malpractice.
Yeah. Surfing idiot. I was canvassing in a working class area this year. You'd be shocked how many people said they weren't voting, and asked why. They said, there's money for 2 wars and refuge migrant benefits, but not for us. I can't even afford rent. Kowalski from Nebraska says the stock market crash of 2026 will occur on March 15th, tax day.
Well, isn't in the corn.
Isn't tax day April 15th?
Yeah, that's right.
I'm not sure what that is about.
Yeah, you're just reading.
Rob from Adam. The Democrats are diet Republicans. If they ever want to win again, they need to be not Republicans. Can we get someone to run on FDR's second Bill of Rights?
Harvey K's been saying.
I mean, I think that's really ultimately what we got to do. It's not so much, you know.
AOC having improved on her vote totals in a district that Harris got completely crushed in relative to Biden in 2020, I think is a fairly strong indication that there's something that works in that kind of politics.
Mm-hmm. Without a doubt. And I think, I mean, frankly, there needs to be a coalescing around, you know, an issue set. And
but it's like, dude, the thing is about the thing is that the Democratic Party has like an actual like structural problem, and it obviously is a political problem. They're making political decisions that influence this, but like the Democratic Party picks their electors, they pick their politicians for president and their candidates and shit by asking like southern state voters their states will never go blue. Do you know what I mean? Like, imagine if the Republican Party like put all of their weight and focus and like passed like, you know, they focus grouped every single one of their policies on California residents. Like, do you think that the Republican Party gives a fuck about what people in California think about their policies? No. So why the fuck why does the Democratic Party give a fuck about who South Carolina thinks about our policies? Or Texas, or like Louisiana? Like we put so much weight in all of these primaries. Like South Carolina was the primary that changed the 2020 election and really solidified Biden as the front runner. Right? It's so silly. And the truth is, you don't ever need to win South Carolina to win the presidency. You don't.
Essentially, the general voter is that they need to have a person to vote around on both sides. There's a slightly different relationship to their politicians, no doubt. But I am of the mind that, again, like there's no learning lessons or teaching lessons or it really is about like you've got to organize, and then ultimately, in the context of elections, anyways, have a personification of that of those organizing principles, and gear up, and then just have.
I agree, Sova.
Come in and win. Like that's what's got to happen.
You have to win ultimately.
There's no like we're going to make David Axelrod see the light type of situation here, or finally they're going to get the message. I mean, it's that's just not going to happen. That's just not going to happen.
And there, open to a diversity of tactics. Independent candidate Dan Osborne is launching a PAC. I'm not super positive about how much a PAC for good can outweigh the PACs for bad in this world, but to the extent that he basically ran as if he was an incumbent, he lost, but he did decent as an independent. So whatever people want to do, just get organized in your community.
Hey folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe.
Dude, that's such an insane outro. Oh my god. Okay, chat. I'm actually gonna call it early tonight. I got a flight in the morning. Thank you for hanging out. Don't forget, I won't be live tomorrow. Tuesday, you won't see me until Tuesday morning. So please check Tuesday morning. Check all of your fucking things. You know what I mean? And come back. Yeah, join the Discord. Turn your notifications on for the chat, and then you can turn them off on Tuesday. But Tuesday's gonna be sick. Don't miss that, please. One last thing. We're gonna raid Mexica Luna. Mexica Luna is a mod in here. She is one of my favorite people. Okay, I need you guys to please stick around for the raid. If you liked this content, you're gonna like what Luna's cooking over there. So please stick around and please drop all of the follows. Drop all of your follows. If you got some extra money in your pocket, please drop it on Luna. We love Luna. We fucking love Luna. All right. Thank you so much. Go give Luna a good day. I'm banning you for 5 days. Okay. Snowhawk, you're gone. You're gone, Snow.